best wishes for your seminar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for your words.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing such a wonderful percept. Now, retracing our steps back to today's topic, let's sprinkle the ingredients and welcome our first speaker who will share his insight on green practices in business. Our first speaker is Mr. Ajay Jain, who is an energy and environment conservation enthusiast, BEE certified energy auditor, automation trained leader auditor, HSC, CapEx management, and has done project evaluation in cost benefit analysis and economic feasibility assessment. He's also done greenfield project execution in steel, chemical, PV and CV tires and tubes. Furthermore, he has an operation and maintenance experience for over 23 plus years. Sir, please enlighten us with your masterful cognition.
Thank you very much. I am very much delighted to present my thoughts on the topic, which is of interest to everybody. Everyone has to contribute to this particular green initiative. Otherwise, the survival of our all people will be at risk. We all know that. And recently, this has gained a lot of importance because of various reasons. I will try to keep my presentation within the available time given. There will be some technical topics, words will come in between. So please excuse me for that because I am from the technical background. Okay, I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. Okay. After seeing the Surge 2K22, I remember the event of 2000 year when there was a transition happening from 99 to 2000. There was a lot of euphoria about it. It was a big, I don't know, the students may not be realizing, but those who are already that time available, they know that how the computers were, computer people were worried what will happen, my date in the computer, it is showing 00. What will happen? But we overcome all those challenges. So like that, this is the new challenge of green has come up. Okay, so I'll just directly go to the topic. Okay, let me share the screen.
I hope, sir, you are able to share your screen.
Yeah, I'm just checking that.
Okay. So now I think you will be able to share.
Yeah, I was not able to do that.
Yeah, right.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir. Your screen is visible.
Okay. So as the topic talk about is a green. Green is nothing but the being sustainable. The definition of sustainability in simple word is ability to maintain or continue over a long period. In terms of the environment, the sustainability is defined as meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of our future generations to meet their needs. There are some of the challenges which people are we all are facing related to the environment, and there are different risks associated with those challenges or issues of environment. One of the top global risks, whatever has been listed out, the 4 of the top list are of environmental nature. For example, climate action failure, biodiversity loss, natural resource crisis, human environmental damage. We have also seen in recent history several infamous events. The Bhopal disaster, the Exxon Valdez oil spill, and the Enron scandal. All these have sparked growing concern about the irresponsible business practices. The recent event of the Madras High Court, who has asked the Sterlite copper smelting plant in Thoothukudi, Tamil Nadu to stop. So these are because of the environmental concern in 2018. The investors accuse 37 Indian companies of hiding environmental impact information. Environmental crimes, India may take up to 33 years to clear case backlog, says one of the reports. So these are the news which are for which the businesses are there in the news on the wrong reasons. So what are these risks? The risk is loss of business for the business, and the loss of reputation or a brand value, risk of closure, loss of valuation of the company. It may lead to litigation, penalty, or criminal procedures. So it has become a survival of a company. Today, corporate sustainability has come to a tipping point. The average lifespan of an organization is shrinking, striving for corporate longevity, and sustainability has become indispensable in this fast-paced world. Despite the growing interest in this domain, companies are struggling to define sustainability in a way that is relevant to their business. The context of sustainability has also changed for the organization over a period of time. It was an evolving concept. The companies embarked on their sustainability revolution by shifting their focus from mere compliance and philanthropy to attaining a sustainability age, looking for the transformation from traditional business models to sustainable business models. And finally, the research gaps are identified to pave the way for future research in the domain of corporate sustainability. One of the report of McKinsey says that the changing climate is poised to create a wide array of economic, business, and social risks over the next 3 decades. Leaders should start integrating climate risk into their decision making now. So it is imperative for all the businesses to take cognizance of this risk, which is more for its survival. Many companies were also quick to realize that sustainable long-term value creation would need to consider more than just a short-term profit. As companies understood that societal needs, the regulatory environment, and expectations from the public were evolving, they found that they could indeed be more successful by being more sustainable. So it provides an opportunity for the future growth. Over a period of time, if you see how the understanding on sustainability improved in the initial period, we used to focus mainly on the profit. I'm talking from the context of the business. So everybody talks about the profit, company should earn profit. Very little importance was given to the society and environmental aspect. When we moved slowly, as we learned more about the other factors which are affecting to the business, the equal importance was given to society, economy, and environment. Later, today, it has become, environment has become encompassing all the other factors. So it is very important that we must look into the environmental and societal effect aspects along with the economy. If you see, there are 10 top companies of the world setting great environmental examples like Panasonic, IKEA, Biogen, Unilever, Apple, IBM, Walmart, to name these. These are the companies who has made significant contribution towards sustainability and converting environmental issues into a business opportunity. The scenario in India is also no different. We have 10 top companies, Indian companies, who are also setting great environmental examples. These companies are Wipro, Godrej, Maruti Suzuki, Tech Mahindra, Marico, SCL, Piramal, Hindustan Lever, Tata Chemicals. If you go to their websites, you will find a lot of information about what are the practices they are following. Let me tell you about the different approaches toward the sustainability which businesses are looking for. So these are recycling, waste minimization, cleaner production, zero emission, zero growth. I will take them one by one. Recycling, as the name suggests, it's a very simple method. It's a process to convert the waste material into useful objects again. That is to produce new products from old, so-called the virgin product. Most common examples are paper, glass, and metal recycling. Waste minimization is a systematic approach to reduce and, if possible, to prevent the production of unintended byproducts and other waste material, including flue gases and emissions. Cleaner production is a methodology which is termed as pollution prevention also, is based on the preventive solutions as opposed to the end of pipe technologies. What do you mean by end of pipe technology? Means we have seen that we provide the pollutant trappers at the end of the pipe of a vehicle. Okay, or in the factory we have chimneys where the electrostatic precipitators are installed to trap the pollutants. Besides being logical, it has also been proved by several studies that if a procedure is originally formulated so as not to create pollution or waste, it is not only environmentally positive, but also financially advantageous. This is the concept of cleaner production. The promotion of energy efficiency can be taken as a special manifestation of cleaner production. We are all looking for the cleaner energy generations like solar and the wind energy, like that. Zero emission. Zero emission is a terminology referring to an industrial or a mechanical process, motor or an engine emitting no waste products of any kind that pollute the environment or contribute to the climate change. In the same context, we also know we are hearing a lot about the carbon neutral, net zero carbon, zero carbon, what it is about. Whenever we talk about the pollution, we know that pollution, there are greenhouse gases which are creating the impact on the environment by increasing the global temperature. We all know the effect of the rising global temperature, and we all, the entire world is working towards mitigating that rise in the global temperature to restrict it to a 1.5 degree by 2050. So carbon neutral is basically a methodology wherein the industries calculate their carbon footprint and take some steps to mitigate the carbon reduction, reduce the carbon, and also take some employ some technology which will reduce their overall carbon footprint. So that's why they are balancing the whatever carbon intake with the carbon going out from the factory, from their production process. Net zero carbon is a process wherein the carbon is not at all emitted from the process, even though it is generated. Technologies are adopted to trap those carbon so that the emission which is going to the atmosphere will be net zero. There is no carbon into it. Same is the zero carbon. We discussed zero carbon is a technology wherein the methodology adopted is that there is no emission of carbon at all. So these are the three concepts you will be coming across when we talk about the carbon footprint of our any process, services, or any production methodology. Zero growth. So degrowth is there is a word called décroissance. It's a French word. The literal meaning of this is degrowth. Basically, not allowing the growth is the meaning of what does it mean? Is basic keeping the consumption at the same level or reduce it from the present level is considered as a zero growth strategy. Green economy. This is the term which is coined by an environmental economist, Mr. David Pierce, in 1989. It is an economy that aims at reducing the environmental risks and ecological scarcities, and that aims for sustainable development without degrading the environment. The green economy concept urges systems of taxation which would both reduce pollution by making it too costly and generate revenue for cleaning up the damage. Central to the green economy is a concept, is the polluter pays principle. The another strategy or approach is the triple bottom line. We have seen that the three responsible factors are for any business is the economy, society, and environment. These are the, in other words, it can be called as people, planet, and profit, which is originated from Mr. John Elkington, who is a founder of sustainability from 1994. According to this, corporate sustainability is the outcome of a triple optimization, like society, economy, and environmental impacts of the our business practices. It is a three-legged model in which the foundations are the three columns of ecology, society, and economic sustainability. Lifecycle assessment is a methodology by which the companies estimate their carbon footprint of all the activities, whatever they do, including the product, end of life products, what will be the carbon impact, carbon footprint of the product when it goes dissipated into the environment. The major steps of LCA are setting the system limits, inventory analysis, and finally the impact assessment. It's a systematic approach as per the ISO 14000 standard. It is also used to make a comparison between two green technologies, which one we should adopt. So the one which is giving more benefit in terms of carbon reduction will be selected. Sustainable consumption is an approach, and what is it exactly talks about is to promote the resource and energy efficiency and use sustainable infrastructure. Its strategic goal is to provide access to basic services, green and decent jobs, and a better quality of life for all. It is one of the 19 Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations by 2030 under the name of Responsible Production and Consumption. Corporate social responsibility, everybody is aware of that. It is a concept whereby companies integrate their social and environmental concerns in their business operations and in their interactions with their stakeholders on a voluntary basis. CSR can play a key role in contributing to the sustainable development. There is a term called blue economy. The aim of the blue economy model is to shift resources from scarcity to abundance and to start tackling issues that cause environmental problems. Where the best of for health and the environment is cheapest, and the necessities of life using the local system of production and consumption that works with the what we have. Hundreds of technological innovations were found and described that could be bundled into the system functioning similar to the ecosystem. It does not anticipate the taking from the environment, but focuses basically on the local system. The blue economy concept was first officially laid down by Mr. Pauly in 2010 in the same book which is named as a blue economy. It refers back again to the zero emission. It began its project to find 100 best nature-inspired technologies that could affect the economies of the world with the condition of providing basic human needs, potable water, food, jobs, and habitable shelter in a strictly sustainable way. Creating shared value. The business concept was proposed by Michael E. Porter, a leading authority on competitive strategy and head of the Institute for Strategy and Competitiveness at Harvard Business School, and Mr. Kramer from Kennedy School of Harvard at Harvard University and co-founder of FSG. It is a mission-driven consulting firm. The main premise behind CSV is that of extended CSR. Industrial ecology. Industrial ecology aspires further that cleaner production, since its ambition is not to optimize on a specific process, but the creation of a certain industrial ecosystem. Here, the waste products produced by a process or a factory is the base material for another. It's a toolkit. Its toolkit does not contain too many new elements though, but besides recycling is made up of the same as that of a four-name cleaner production, life cycle assessment, and eco design. We have seen that the government is promoting business clusters, like in Pune and Chennai. There is an Atto cluster wherein the various small companies feeding to the main company their products. So this could be one of the small example of industrial ecology, a small part of it. Sharing economy. In the sharing economy, persons rent or share things like their cars, rooms, house, or apartments to other people. I don't have to talk more about it here because we all know, we are very familiar about this sharing economy. We know the Uber, the Ola cabs, Airbnb. These are the iconic examples, and it is grown like anything. Circular economy. It aims to overcome the take, make, dispose linear pattern of production and consumption. It proposes a circular system in which the value of products, materials, and resources is maintained in the economy as long as possible. As a consequence, circular business models aim to create value by relying on production inputs that are reusable, renewable, and or recyclable, as well as by extending the lifespan of the outputs. So the overall, whatever concepts or approaches we have, I have shared just now with you, it all talks about the how I can reduce the impact of environment, impact on the environment, and reduce my dependency on the environment, thereby also maintaining the economic activity and ensuring the growth and providing the human well-being. So pursuing green is a major opportunity at this point of time. Here I am going to explain about the hierarchy of approaches. The methodology what we use is, the first approach is prevention. Let us see whether I can reduce the material, whether I can extend the life of the material I am using it. Second approach is to prepare for reuse. If I am not able to extend the life of the material, whether I can reuse it for some other purpose. Can I repurpose it for other usage? If this is also not possible, can I recycle it into an entirely new product? Or if that also is not possible, I will go for a recovery. Can I remove some of the material from that so that it can be reused for some other product? If that is also not possible, can I dispose it safely back into the atmosphere or the landfilling? So these are the hierarchy where one has to look into in our day-to-day use. So best method is prevention, and the least method is the safe disposal. Now, just to give you a brief how the manufacturing takes place, as you see, there is a process which is processing the raw material, converting into goods which are finished products. This finished product goes to the market or ultimately end up with the end user. In the process, when these goods are getting converted into a finished product, there are some waste which are generated. These are emissions, effluents. Like this is simple manufacturing process. I will restrict my discussion to this. So what are the green practices these people, the industries follow? The green practices what we follow is the resource efficiency. There are various inputs we are using, resources using. As I said, about raw material is the one resource. We are getting it from the earth. We are getting the energy. We are using water for the production process. So how effectively we use that resources is what is talk about the resource efficiency. Also, using the environment friendly material. The material whatever we are using should not affect the environment. Pollution control, then reduce, reuse, recycle, and replenish. So these are the practices which you use. I will just explain one by one here. Under the resource efficiency, energy productivity is talked about. What does it mean? That whatever product I am producing, how much energy I am consuming for that producing one single product, how much power I am using, how much steam I am using, how much compressed air I am using for producing one single product unit. Then comes the water productivity. Again, how much liters of water I am consuming for producing one unit of a production. Human resource productivity, how much manpower I am using for production of a one unit of production.
Excuse me, sir. Sorry to interrupt, but you're on mute.
Sir, you are
Yeah,
co-host.
I have been muted.
Yeah, by mistake, I think so.
From where I was, this is the slide I was talking about.
Yes, sir, exactly.
Okay. So what I was talking about is energy resource efficiency. In that, the energy productivity is the product is the unit by which we can estimate the consumption of energy per unit of a production. Similarly, we talk about the water productivity, how much water I am consuming per unit of the production. Human productivity, how much number of how much number of manpower I am using for producing 1 unit of a product, and what are the innovation I am doing into my product, process, and other functions, so as to focus on getting the resource used more efficiently. Under the energy efficiency, what are the technologies I am using? We are using the energy efficient technology for equipment. The equipment are consuming less energy for producing more. We are conducting energy audit in our factory to know where my energy consumption is more. We are using energy efficient motors so that the consumption of the energy motors will be less. We are using high efficiency LED lights, which are giving more lights and consuming less energy. We are using waste heat recovery systems. We are also focusing on energy loss reduction in the entire power distribution system. And we are reducing consumption of conventional energy sources, going on the increasing the renewable percentage in our total energy intake. Bureau of Energy Efficiency is a government organization under the Ministry of Power, which is running several flagship programs for the industry. One of them is the standards and labeling. We all know our products in our home, like refrigerator, air conditioning. You can see a label where 5-star ratings are given. So to know whether the product is energy efficient or not, if 5-star is there, that means it is an energy efficient product. If it is a single star, it is a least efficient product. So as an individual, if I want to go to the market and I want to buy some product, I have to see this label. So this Bureau of Energy Efficiency has developed 23 such use this labeling system for 23 products in the market, which are energy guzzlers. Then energy conservation building codes developed by them for the industry, so that the consumption has been reduced by the buildings. They're focusing about 25% reduction in the energy consumption by the industries. Then there is a PAT scheme under which the various financing packages are provided, and trading is done based on the performance of the particular industry. SME programs for the small and medium enterprises. There are various incentives given by the BE for supporting the energy conservation initiatives. State designated agencies are there, which provide the financial package. Then demand side management to reduce the energy intensity, so that overall energy reduction will be there. So these are the initiatives which all the industries are harnessing from the BE. Then alternative energy usage. So use of natural ventilation and lights, use of renewable energy like solar and wind, use of biogas gasifiers, use of fuel for furnaces, boilers, green buildings, certified green buildings. These are some of the initiatives which generally which are undertaken by the businesses, so to make them more greener. As for water efficiency, we are also using the storage pond for the rainwater harvesting. Basically, this is a rainwater harvesting pond wherein the rainwaters which are collected from the roof and collected so that it can be reused for the plant usage. These are the roof lights, as you can see, which will harness the daylight, so that there is no need to run the lights in the daytime, thereby saving the energy. This is the water efficient fixture, which reduces the water consumption and gives the water in the shower mode instead of a flooding mode. Then there are urinals which are water efficient. Then there are urinals or the WC which are having the option of using less water with the 2 push buttons. We do the water mapping in the factory to know where are the water consumption is happening. We provide the measurements, engage the agencies, which tells us what are the consumption points, and based on that, we take actions to reduce the water consumption where it is going more. We also look for the alternative sources of water instead of just depending on the water coming from the underground. We take municipal water, we take internal wastewater reuse. We treat the, we also get the municipal treated water. Nowadays, many municipalities are treating the water and selling the treated water for the industrial use, not for potable use. Similarly, within the industry also, we are using the RO reject. So reverse osmosis water, which is rejected, will be taken back to the system. Similarly, the effluent treatment plants, which are treating the effluents, converting into the water which can be reused in the process. Boiler blowdown, again, ZLD is a zero liquid discharge distillate. Then MBR effluent, these are all being taken back to the process so that the net water usage will be reduced. Another practice is the use of REACH compliant. What does this REACH talks about? REACH is nothing but the evaluation, authorization, and restriction of chemicals in as per the European regulation. It's a restriction of the some of the material which are causing health hazard to the human being. Similarly, use of ROHS certified product, which are a restriction of hazardous substances. Then we use fuel substitution. Basically, the briquettes, as you see, these are the briquettes which are generated from the from the agro waste into form of a briquette, and these are burnt to produce the steam in the factory. The other initiatives are reduce, recycle, and reuse. So we reduce the consumption of environmental hazardous material. We reprocess the defectives in the back to the process. Recycle the treated effluent water through RO. Just now I discussed reuse of treated sewage water for gardening and plantation and toilet flushing. For the pollution control, we do not let out any effluent from the factory. It is called a zero liquid discharge. The entire water is utilized back into the process, and wherever it is not possible to utilize that, these water are evaporated and converted into the solid form, which takes less space, and it goes into the incineration so that it will not affect the land. Substituting the coal with the biomass briquette, then use of sensors in the dust collector to detect any back damage to avoid any incidence of the pollution going to the atmosphere, reducing carbon footprint through active and passive waste. So in a nutshell, what the green companies and manufacturing companies do is all these initiatives like energy efficient processes, they are water positive, or they try to become water positive. They use renewable energy and greenhouse gas reduction methodologies. They do waste minimization, focus on zero waste. They use lower raw material and consumables. Then greener supply chain. They go for green infrastructure, like green certified buildings. They go for product stewardship, where the energy consumption of the product is less. So these are the initiatives which, in general, the companies are following. There is a very interesting initiatives being taken with the RE100. Many global companies are now, influential companies are now formed a group called RE100. What does it mean? They want to go 100% renewable. So whatever their energy is there, they want to go for the renewable source rather than the non-conventional source. Conventional source. If you see the when these companies are evaluated, it was noted that 45% of the companies, 45% of the reported companies consume the power from the renewable energy. They are sourcing more RE than before, and this RE100 membership has been seen as a growth in the Asia Pacific region. The interesting fact is that there are 6 Indian companies which are committed for the RE100 group. They have become the member of this. These are Dalmia Cement, JSW Cement, Infosys, Mahindra Holidays, Mindspace Business Park, Tata Motors. If you see this, what are the sectors from where these companies are coming? They are all encompassing the entire gamut of services: manufacturing, retail, food, beverage and agriculture, materials, biotech, health and pharma, infrastructure, hospitality, apparel, transportation services. So it is touching every aspect of our life. The other examples are Tata Chemical. What they have done is the transportation and handling of hazardous chemicals. What they have done, drivers who carry the hazardous chemicals are trained in the handling of the chemicals. And if any emergency situation happens, they call the helpline number and avoid any emergency spill or take care of the incidents which will damage to the environment. Aditya Birla Group, they have the sustainable logistic practices wherein they transport the sulfuric acid directly to the mill by the rail transport rather than the road transport, basically to reduce the greenhouse gas emission. They have done the innovation. How they have done is they have reduced the water consumption in their process of pigmentation. Responsible sourcings. They have adopted the social accountability standard SA 800 at their fiber unit, which make the vendor evaluation process and carried out training session for the suppliers so that they are selecting the vendors which are following the responsible practices for the environment, towards environment conservation. They also do the waste recycling and management in their factory. Now, from Apollo Tyres perspective, what are the steps we are taking at our factory? I would like to say that under the product innovation, we follow the REACH compliant material. We have improved our fuel efficiency. We have improved rolling resistance, extended our life tire weight. We have reduced use of silica in place of carbon. These are the product innovations or product stewardship. And under the process innovation, we have used latest technology such as quintuplex extruder, wherein the multiple parts are produced simultaneously from the single machine. Earlier, these four subproducts are produced from 4 different machines, 4 different stations. So we have combined those together. This is the best method in the tire production system. We have used automation to the maximum extent. Energy efficient processes are adapted. We are using the digital technology for monitoring, control, optimization, and data acquisition of our process parameters. Way back in 2007, we have made partnership with the GAIL, wherein the steam produced from the waste heat recovery compressors from the GAIL factory is used by the Apollo Tyres. These factories are located nearby. This was one of the best project under the public-private partnership we have undertaken, wherein water is given to the GAIL, it is get converted into the steam back to us. So thereby we have got 436,800 metric tons of steam annually from the GAIL. And if this project was not there, GAIL would have been simply wasting that energy to the atmosphere. Then comes the climate change and mitigation practices. We are monitoring and reporting our carbon footprints of our operations. We are invested in renewable energy to reduce our carbon footprint and adopted various energy saving initiatives for reducing electrical heat energy usage in the process. So this is our carbon emission profile in terms of equivalent carbon emissions under scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3 categories. Under the CSR umbrella, we do the eco restoration of ponds in nearby villages, and also we provide access to the clean purified water through a water ATM to nearby village peoples in our factory. We also have the program which has started in 2003 from Waste Management and Sanitation. It's nicknamed as SPURGE, which stands for Segregate Waste, Practice Composting, Awareness Generation on Environment, Reduce, Reuse, and Recycle, Safe Sanitation, hygiene for all in our nearby villages. Also, the stakeholders, like we are associated with the tire business. That means the wherever the trucker communities are there in the Transport Nagar, we initiated the Clean Our Transport Nagar project. Also, similarly, Clean My Villages in the nearby villages, sanitation management, and also end of life tire play spaces. So we create the play spaces by using the waste tires, and also produce along with the Manchester United, we are developing the football pitch using the waste tires. For the offsetting the carbon emission into the atmosphere, we have planted 350,000 trees for under the our CSR initiative. Thereby, this is called sequestration of CO2, giving back carbon to the atmosphere. For biodiversity conservation, which is a global initiative of Apollo Tires, we have taken up small project of mangrove conservation in district Kerala. We have 2 plants in Kerala. So a sample of 5,000 saplings have been planted in 6 acres as a draft action plan in 3 villages. Recently, we are in the news of green power. Our Chennai facility, we are going to the 30% of our total energy consumption through the green resource, which is a renewable power. In our plant in Andhra Pradesh, we are using transformer with an environmental friendly insulating oil. About 20,000 liter oil is there in one transformer. This oil is generally the oil used is a mineral oil, which is not environmental friendly. So here we are using the oil which is environmental friendly and 100% biodegradable. This is one of the first project at 132 kV level in India where we have used this initiative. We reduce the our energy usage in the lighting per square meter from 3.73 to 2.9 in our new factory in Andhra Pradesh. We are using the energy efficient transformer, which is a dry type transformer, in our manufacturing facility. Thereby, we have reduced about 52,800 liters of oil, mineral oil, which we otherwise would have used if we have gone with the oil filled transformer. We are moved our entire factory from I1 to I3 in our new plant in Andhra Pradesh. So better energy efficient motors are used, which are rated as I3, thereby reducing the carbon footprint and energy reduction. Overall, if you see, for all these initiatives, we were able to reduce 1,661 tons of carbon annually from these initiatives. So with this, I end my presentation. Thank you very much for your patient listening. I hope I was able to be within the time. I'm open for any questions from this.
Students, if you have any questions, please post it in the chat box. Sir, we have a question.
Yes, please.
Should I read it for you? It is there in the chat box. Okay, so it's shared with me only, I think so. Sir, how we as a management students can take this step towards adapting green practices?
Okay, when you go to the organization, the first thing what you can do is that what are the sustainable steps particular company is taking. If not, you can take an initiative into it, and it's a good opportunity for you, because now a separate sale is being made in the company, and every good company is going for sustainability. So there is ample opportunity for you and ample scope for improvement, bringing in the innovation, new ideas, which will be really helpful for the entire global community.
Does that answer your question, Utkarsh?
Yes, thank you so much, sir, for the answer.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Ma'am, I have a question to ask from sir. Sir, we have been talking about renewable energy sustainability. So I would like to know what exactly is sustainability? What is it that defines sustainability? Because there is no standard definition, no nothing. So how will we go about? Because unless it is definite, specific and clear, then how are we going to manage that sustainability component? So I need a clarity on what exactly is sustainability all about and how to go about this.
Yes, you are right. There is no specific standard definition for sustainability, because sustainability is such a vast subject. You cannot put it into few words that what exactly sustainability is. But in general, when we say about sustainability, the basic thing behind this is that whatever input I am taking from the environment, I should give it back to them, so that the balance is maintained in the nature. So basically, what my understanding is, basically balancing the nature so that our growth of the life also will continue and it will not have any adverse impact on the environment. It is an evolving field. It is not end to it. We have to go a long way in the sustainability. We are just at this moment. You must have heard that the global temperature is increasing day by day, and if we don't take any steps, it will reach 4 degrees Celsius or 6 degrees Celsius. There is also no agreement on that, whether it will reach 4 degrees or 6 degrees. So it is jointly decided that if we restrict it to 1.5 degree, we will be able to survive. If we don't restrict it, don't take steps, we are all going to suffer in this. And there are lot of issues we are facing because of this rising global temperature, increase in the sea level. Similarly, the tsunamis which are happening, and also the natural disaster, the intensity of natural disaster has increased, both frequency and intensity. So it is all the way important for us to take whatever knowledge available to us and move forward on that.
Thank
Sir,
you.
yeah. Sir, I also have a question. I mean, related to the financial aspect. I
Yes.
just wanted to know, when we follow these, sources like renewable energy sources, energy efficient things,
Yes.
is the cost too much that the industry is not following so much of green practices? The installation cost is too much in that case?
No, fortunately, the solar power, yes, it was costly 10 years before. The recent study says that 89% capital investment percent drop has happened in the solar power cost,
Okay.
because of the proliferation of the solar power. So there is a decrease in the capital investment, and many companies are going, and there are various models coming up in the solar power businesses, wherein some third party invest into the solar power and sell to them. Nobody is investing in the like Apollo Tires. We are not investing any our own money, but we are giving contract for 25 years, long-term contract we are making with them, the solar power providers. They come, they purchase these solar panels, install in our factory, we give our space, and we just enjoy the benefit from day one. So
And
these are models are coming up.
Okay. And what about your shifting from mineral oil to energy efficient oil? So
It was not an energy efficient oil, it was a biodegradable oil.
okay.
Yeah, it's not energy efficient oil. It is basically an oil which is produced from the edible source.
Okay.
It's a it is not from the crude oil or so. Mineral oil is used developed from the crude oil, and it is very hazardous. After the end of life, we need to incinerate it or send it to the reprocessor. But again, it is a carbon intensive. Whereas our edible oil, since it is produced from the plant base, there is absolutely no problem, and within 1 month it gets converted into the biodegraded.
Okay, sir. Sir, one question we have from the student. Sir, can solar panel remove generators in long run?
It cannot remove generators in long run, but if using it along with the batteries, we can store energy, then we can remove the generators. Because solar power is not available 24 hours. What will happen in the night time if the power goes? So you need to have some storage facility so that if excess power is generated in the daytime, you store it in battery and use it as a in place of generator. So these are also being these technologies are also being developed, and it is coming in a big way. NTPC is going for a storage battery of 25 gigawatt, not megawatt.
And sir, one more thing I would like to add also, this concept of one sun, one world and one grid that was floated in COP26 Glasgow. So that is the
Yes.
same concept which you just talked about, solar power is not available in the night and all those things. And one question I would like to ask, sir, could you please throw some light on carbon biscuits? That is a new concept that has come up. So carbon biscuits or something that you can just touch on that.
First, your first question was related to the one sun, one world concept. Yes, we all know we have only one sun and we have only one world to go unless we find some alternative to our Earth. So it is all the way important for all of us to see that we harness the available resource from the sun, which is naturally available. At the same time, we should not damage our world so that we can live for a long time. Your second question is related to the carbon biscuit. Basically, now the concept is developing that instead of throwing the carbon back to the atmosphere, trap those carbon, convert it into a solid, and put it back into the Earth's surface. So this is the another method which we are being developed.
Okay, thank you.
It's called carbon capture. It is called carbon capture.
Okay, sir, just one last question from the student. He is interested to know, I'm the same student who was asking you about the generators. He's saying
Yes.
that, is there any future in generator business or should I need to look for a different industry? I mean,
Yes, yes. There is, of course, for next 30 years or 50 years down the line, there is a future for generators. But of course, there is a fuel change happening. The ethanol-based fuel is used in place of diesel. The composition of diesel is changing. We are putting ethanol into the diesel so that, and slowly it will increase. Or you might have heard the concept of biodiesel, wherein the generators are going to use that. So there is a future. Yes, no long future, but yes, 20-30 years it is there.
Thank you, sir.
yeah. So thank you so much, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, Ajay sir, for your word of wisdom, and you very beautifully explained the concept of sustainability. Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Over to you, Saina.
Thank you for your insights, sir. Now, it's my great pleasure to introduce our next speaker for today's event, Commander Bhim Reddy. Commander Bhim Reddy had joined Indian Navy as an engineering training at Naval College of Engineering in December 1995. Thereafter, he was commissioned into the Indian Navy as sub-lieutenant on 1st Jan 2000, which means formally joined the ranks of the Indian Navy post-training as an officer. During his illustrious career spanning 22 years in the Indian Navy, he served in many important positions and has contributed his bit towards the national security endeavor of the Indian Armed Forces. His services included a cumulative period of 8 years spent on the front line, on board 4 different warships, and had been instrumental in operating various electrical, electronic, and weapon systems on board these ships, including nuclear-capable mission systems, and a long stint at the Directorate of Information Technology at Integrated Headquarters of Ministry of Defense. Apart from that, Commander Bhim Reddy has been a lifelong learner, having gone through various career progression courses and academic endeavors. He is alumnus of prestigious Indian Naval War College, IIM Lucknow, Jamanlal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies, and is also currently pursuing his MBA from Narsi Monji Institute of Management Studies, Mumbai. He has also various global level professional certificates to his credit, some of them being project management professional from the Project Management Institute, Certified Scrum Master from Scrum Alliance, and Lean Six Sigma Green Belt from Six Sigma Academy, Amsterdam. In the last 12 years, he has been one of the leaders of the IT sub-branches of Navy, driving digital transformation and integrating technology into day-to-day business operations in the Navy. Some of his career highlights are member of Apex decision-making body at Ministry of Defense called IT Joint Consultative Group that makes recommendations for strategic decisions affecting all wings of Ministry of Defense. Co-authored many policy documents that are currently implemented in the Navy during Digital Navy Vision document in 2016. was part technical delegations during various diplomatic and goodwill missions with navies of friendly nations including Israel, Japan, Australia, Malaysia, and Indonesia. Professional Excellence Award by Chief of Navy in recognition to his contribution towards digital transformation. Commander Bhim Reddy is currently on a teaching assignment posted as the head of IT faculty at the Indian Navy Premier Training Institute, Center for Marine Engineering Technology at Lonavala. Please join me in welcoming Commander Bhim Reddy. Sir, it is an honor to have you here today with us.
Welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much. That was quite a long introduction. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, you are perfectly audible.
Okay. Thank you, James, for giving me this opportunity to influence these young minds. I'll try to do my bit. That is, if they're paying attention. I don't see anybody on the video, so I assume that they're paying attention. Okay. So, can I share my screen now? Yeah.
Yes. Sir, you are able to share your screen?
Sir, I think now you are able to share.
Now, sir, please check, sir.
Yeah, I'll just check. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes. So, is it visible?
Yeah, sir. It's perfectly visible.
Okay. So, I have Dr. Pooja Jain, Director, Dr. Praveen Arora, Dean IP Affiliated Program, fellow panelists, professors of GEMS, staff, and dear students. Thank you for giving me this opportunity once again. I've taken a little bit of a leeway and changed the topic from green IT operations from business to sustainability in digital age, because this is quite a relevant. We are living in something like a digital age right now. Okay, so that's me in my green uniform apt for this particular day. Okay, one second. So I will be covering next 20 to 25 minutes. I'll be covering following topics. But for students, I would say that during such seminars, I always slept off. I don't pay much attention till the time somebody said to me, "What is in it for you?" So I have, towards the end, I have something like what is in it for me as a student, so that you can take away certain things, certain values and all that, so that you can give back to this country and to this world. So this is the topics that I'm going to cover. So having my fellow panelist, Mr. Ajay Jain, has covered very well as to what is the importance of sustainability. So, I'll not dwell too much on importance of sustainability, but then, the background that we have come from, where this sustainability talk and all that is going on nowadays in quite a, quantum, comes from the fact that there is a huge climate change that is going on, and which most of us are not observing, or some of us are observing and not doing anything about it, or some of us are observing and doing a lot about it. Okay, so the background is this, that there's climate change happening, and there is a lot of impact of this climate change and global warming to everybody, including, the most neglected aspect of it, which is the social impacts of the climate change, which is causing things like, displaced people and poverty and all that, because of a lot of natural disasters that are occurring, which you have seen in last 4 or 5 years, which Mr. Ajay Jain also had mentioned some time back, that the intensity of natural disasters is much more than what it was before. And of course, we are living in such an age right now that, we never imagined in just a few days, just a few years back, just 2 years back also, we could not have imagined that something like this could have happened in this digital age, where we are totally living in a very, very uncertain world. But yes, of course, all of us have picked up, all of us are really coming back and hitting back. The fact that we are doing a virtual webinar like this is also an example for that, right? Okay, so the importance of sustainability has been explained previously, but I'll put it across in my own words, which is, it is sustainability making conscious choices in your own sphere of influence, in your own world. And that would ultimately reduce the, the impact of what we are doing on the earth, is what is sustainability. And it touches us in very different ways. So ultimately, we're all trying to reduce some amount of carbon footprint. We'll come to that. All these things will come to that. We are trying to reduce our impact, negative impacts on the earth. Okay. So, a lot of people keep saying, a lot of talk keeps happening as to save the planet and all that. So let me just put it back to you saying that, let us ignore all these things. Let's not do anything. Let's not just nobody is doing anything about, this kind of, the kind of negative impact that we're creating. So what happens to the earth? Do the earth really needs a saving? Just think about it. Or somebody else needs the saving. It's the humanity that needs saving. It is not the earth. What if nothing happens? 50 years later, 70 years later, the earth, we all perish because of the ill influences that we are doing. But the earth will bounce back because earth has been living for millions of years. Earth will bounce back. But then we will be the ones which will be at the receiving end. And, you students right now are at the age where it impacts you much, much more. And the stakes are very, very high for you. Because we have already lived half of our lives, but you are going to live much more than what we are, and the next generation is going to live much more. So the stakes are very high for you. So the action has to be very high from your side also. Okay, so having brought this background, now I'll come to the actual topic, which is the green IT. So what does green IT mean? So let us see what green IT mean here. Green technology is the kind of technology where whichever part of technology you use, it is intended to mitigate. Mitigate means basically reduce or reverse the effects of human activity on the environment. So green IT is part of this, where we say it is the practice of environmentally sustainable computing. That means study and practice of designing, manufacturing, using, and most importantly, disposing of computing devices in a way that reduces and minimizes the environmental impact. In fact, a lot of companies now, like how my earlier panelist has said, a lot of companies are bringing in sustainability into their culture. So we also have to think like that. Sustainability development and sustainability management is going to be the mantra in the future. So, what is IT? What are the goals? Where did it start from, the green IT and all that? Going a little bit into the history, in about 1992, there was a concept of green IT which was launched by, US Environmental Protection Agency by introducing this Energy Star, which you see on the screen, right? And thereafter, it really caught up. Initially, there was very small, very, lazy kind of reaction from everybody else and, the consumers and the companies, but it is catching up now because the effect is much more. So these are the goals of the sustainability, IT sustainability for the future, which is, the improving of IT systems energy efficiency. There's a lot of energy that is utilized in the behind. When you switch on your computer, it is not just the computer, the power supply that is coming to your computer or your laptop. When you're browsing the data, when you're browsing internet, there is a lot of background action that is happening over there. And that background action, it needs a lot of powering up and a lot of other resources to it. So it is the overall impact that we're trying to reduce here. Using of dangerous materials, less use of dangerous materials like lead and all those things which we use while manufacturing of computing devices. And at the end, it is improving of overall sustainable business sustainability and use of renewable energy is where the key lies for sustainable IT. Okay, so now we live in a very, very connected world right now. I've shown this map. In fact, if you just Google submarine cable map, you'll see this. The entire world is connected through a maze of fiber optic cables and Wi-Fi connections and mobile connections and all that. So we are all in a very, very connected world right now. We're living in a very connected world right now, and we're all living on social media most of the time. And for every small thing, even if somebody coughs, people go and Google it suddenly that my son is coughing, what should I do, kind of thing. So that is the world that we are living in, and everything that we do, we have to share. So you go to a restaurant, you find a nice dish, you take a picture first, share it on Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, and then eat it. That is the kind of the world that we're living in. So we are doing in this world, what are we doing? We are generating a lot of data. We are generating, and for handling of this particular data, we are using a lot of resources, a lot of resources. To give an idea, see, I've put forward some statistics, which is, at present, there are about 5 billion internet users, almost 5 billion internet users. And, just about in last year, 320 new internet users have been added. So we're almost, the entire population of the world is about 7 billion. So we are there, And about 2 trillion Google searches have been done in last year itself. And Facebook has generated some 4 petabytes of data. Now, what petabyte means, you can Google it. There are too many, lot of zeros in it, you know. So it's like on an average, we are generating, each person, each individual is generating about 1.7 MB of data per second. So that's important. Per second, we are generating this much amount of data. So where is this going? Just see this 2.5 quintillion bytes of data generated every single day. Now, what is quintillion? You can Google it. There are 18 zeros in 1 quintillion. It is 2.5, 18 zeros GB is what we are generating right now. And to give just a perspective, there are just these 5 big companies, which are normally, which are called as GAFAM, Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, and Microsoft. They have got about 6 million servers working behind it to process the data that we are generating and they're using it. And you know, going forward in the future, almost every country, every government, every company wants to move into digital world. So 70% of GDPs are already, you know, planning into moving into digitization, and the 40% of this data that we are generating is from machines, not just individuals, because there's a lot of you know, background data that happens over when we go. Something like, you know, a simple use of Alexa at your home, that Alexa is generating a lot of data. So Alexa is a machine generated. Like that, there are a lot of IoT devices, which is Internet of Things. Some of you might be aware of it. But just look at it, one particular country, China, is having 3.2 IoT devices in the last year, that is 2020. And it is expected that there'll be 25 billion IoT devices by 2030. So there'll be hell a lot of amount of data that will be generated by these guys. And all of this data, a lot of this data is going into cloud. Okay. So a lot of data is going into something called as a cloud, which is in the back, working in the background. And it is expected by 2025, there will be some 200 plus zettabytes. Again, zettabytes, I would say that, guys, you can go and there are some, again, another 20 zeros in each zettabyte. So there's a lot of data. There's hell a lot of data that is going. So where is this data going? Where is all this data going? You know, so these data is being processed by in data centers, most of it in data centers. There is a very big infrastructure of servers and you know, connecting devices, networks that has been established all over the world, which is processing this data. Okay, right now we are speaking on Zoom. It's going live on YouTube. So this is going and getting stored somewhere, and you can retrieve it at any point of time. None of this data is getting deleted. All this data is there, and that means it is only incrementally increasing. Every year the data is only increasing. It is not going up. It is not going down. Okay, none of the data that even a WhatsApp message that you sent today, you delete it. It is there. It is there, and it is there in the company. As per company policies, it will be there for some 15 years. After that, only it will be lost. Okay. Even after that, it will not be lost because you cannot delete the data. Okay, those are the details, of course. So there's a lot of data that is being just imagine Amazon. Only Amazon is the one which is having a data of which is having, you know, 1.4 million servers, and they're growing very rapidly. Just to give an idea as to how these data centers look like from inside, this one room of the data center looks like this, and one big data center. If you see a perspective, this in as far as with respect to a city, you see the amount of infrastructure that is going in to support this particular data center. You know, there's a lot of infrastructure, that means there's a lot of power supply that is going in. There's a lot of heating, ventilation, air conditioning that is going into it, the structural infrastructure that's going along with it. So, and also the material that goes inside, the manufacturing support that is required inside. So a lot of infrastructure support is required to sustain these data centers. So these data centers are a major power source. They are actually, you know, they're consuming a lot of power. Just to give an idea, today 3.5% of the entire power generated in the world is consumed by data centers. Okay, so we are talking about, that means which is, say, a country like UK, entire country uses this much amount of this much amount of power, and the carbon footprint that is left by these data centers and by IT is about the same as aviation industry. And what is aviation industry doing? Burning fossil fuel, right? Aviation is industry is just burning fuel. So, you know, just imagine, even here, the IT is also burning fuel. That means not directly, but indirectly it is burning fuel. And not only burning fuel, there are a lot of other things that come along with it. You know, like there is a very rapid generation of e-waste that happens. All these, computing devices that come over here, once the useful electronic life is over, they are thrown away. Same way, like how a computer or a laptop or a mobile phone at your place after 3-4 years, it is rendered useless and you don't know where to throw it away, right? A lot of it is even getting accumulated in your drawers and all that. So what do you do about it? So what do you do about all this e-waste? So before coming to the e-waste, I'll just come to the e-waste. Before coming to the e-waste, what are companies doing and what is government doing to manage all this waste and manage the sustainable efforts of the IT and in general the effort? What are they doing? Let's see about it. I've deliberately kept it a bit less because of time constraint and also because other panelists will cover it. But large companies have actually pledged that they will include sustainability in their culture and in all their activities. Governments across the world have enacted the sustainability and pollution control, kind of legislations and regulations and all that. One particular example that I will give you here is the e-waste management rules of 2016, which is enacted by Indian government. By Central Pollution Control Board. In COP21 last year, our Prime Minister went and pledged in front of the world that India will achieve net zero by 2070. Okay, so there are efforts going on. Somebody spoke about one world, one sun, one glow, one solar grid kind of a thing. Sometime back we spoke about it. And there are a lot of other things that government is doing. Which is like, sustain the efforts of waste management, passing some rules and regulations to the companies, and also, something like our roads and transport minister, Mr. Nitin Gadkari, always talks about having plastic as part of our roads, having plastic waste, regenerated plastic waste as part of our roads. But a lot of this thing is being done. But do you think it's enough? I have to ask this question to everybody. Is it enough? See, just to give again a perspective, last year, more than 1 million tons of e-waste were produced in India, and it has increased only by 30%. And that too, we are not manufacturing most of it. Most of it is being manufactured either in China. Of course, most of it is in China, and a lot of it is coming from outside. But now India is taking a leap ahead, and we are going into manufacturing in a very, very big way. Manufacturing of computing devices, including the chips and all that, in a very big way. That means this is only going to grow, and it's going to grow very, very in a very large components. Last year it was 32%. Next year it might be more than 100%. So that's what I'm saying. Is just announcing this kind of a thing is enough? As of now, there are about 178 companies which are working in the e-waste management aspect in India. There is something called as an e-waste exchange, which is acting as a bridge between the corporates and society and all that. But still, there is a lot of lack of awareness among us. So we don't even know where to throw the e-waste. We don't even know where to throw our old mobiles, which is there. There are people who are working in this. We'll come to that a bit later. And heartening part is that a lot of companies, all the companies and corporates are aware, and they are taking positive steps. In fact, companies cannot deny that they are not aware of the regulations. That's the heartening part. So about 45% of it is the e-waste that is generated in India today is generated from the household, household electronic devices. And about the rest of it, about 55% is from manufacturing and corporate and all that. So 55% of it is being taken care of in some way or the other way. But 45% of it where we individuals and the household usage comes of electronic goods, there is still a lot of awareness that is needed. There are some people who are working towards it, but most of us, I'm sure a lot of you also don't know where to throw that old mobile, whether you put it in your dustbin or whether you put it outside somewhere, or whether you call somebody and you give it to them. Okay. So there are incentives, but is it enough? If it was enough, our streets would have not looked like this. This is some place in West Delhi. It would not have looked like this. Still, a lot has to be done in this. So what should you do? Now coming to that, now giving this background as to what green IT is all about and what is happening in the world. So what is in it for me? What is in it for you as a student? Is what I'm going to focus on, and I want you to pay attention of this, because you are the future of this country. And you are the ones who are going to take care of this country and this world in the future. Okay. So leadership, your institute is really good, doing a good job in grooming you all in leadership and in becoming the future of this country. But you have to remember that, when you go into the corporate, when you start your own companies, when you found your own companies, or when you go into, you grow in the companies, corporates and all that, when you have that say of decision making, in the boardroom or anywhere else. So you guys have to always remember that there is sustainability. That sustainability mindset has to be there for every action that you take. Every single action that you take, every single recommendation that you make has to be that taken care, has to take care of this fact of sustainability. Then only change can come in. So you can do it in form of individual contribution. You can join any of the startups, join the green revolution of India. This is not the green revolution of the Asturias, but this is the new green revolution of India, where a lot of startups, our director also had mentioned some time back that the startup industry is really coming up and a lot of people are taking up. So there is a lot of scope in this, and you make a difference. You make a difference. You can even start from home. So these are a lot of things where you can start. At least start from home and then take it forward, take it into the society. Take it into the society and take it into wherever you're working. You might just join as some kind of an analyst or some kind of a developer or some kind of very small job initially, but you will grow in the company, and you have to always remember that you have to do what is sustainable, what sustainability is. So I leave you with this quote for a few seconds, and then what do we need? What kind of leaders do we need in this country? We don't need Twitter warriors. We don't need people who can say, how dare you, or something like that, and it's off you go. We need people who are action oriented. Leadership is walking the talk, not talking the talk. Okay, so we need people who have to take action. We need people who have to go out and help the endeavors of the government and the companies and everywhere in their own way, wherever they can, in their own sphere of influence, wherever you can influence by, again, thinking green, then communicate, influence, integrate, do everything that you do. You have to integrate these green practices into your life, and you have to contribute. You guys will be the ones who will be contributing to developing environmentally sustainable products and business practices in the future. Okay. So, but then a warning here that, just take care of greenwashing. Greenwashing means basically you talk saying that my company is doing a lot, I'm doing a lot of stuff, but then actually you're not doing it. That means it is called as greenwashing. You just market a product that it is green, but actually it is not. So that is greenwashing. But you need to influence, and you need to take care of this and think very much about it, and develop that sustainability mindset. So I leave before I finish the presentation, I'll just leave you with some examples where there are a lot of youngsters, a lot of young people who are doing a fantastic job in helping the sustainability efforts of this country and making a lot of difference to this country. For example, there is a company called as Nation, which is started by two young people, and they are using technology in a very, very big way to make the recycling markets. The recycling market in India, where people go and pick up trash and then sell it to a Raddiwala and then make some money. It's all informal sector, So these people are doing a fantastic job in integrating this informal sector with a formal sector. There are, sometime back I told that there are some 178 e-waste management companies. So they're giving technology to these people to reach out to these, people who are trash collectors, who are living off this kind of, living off collecting the waste and all that, and bringing them into informal sector. And they're doing a lot of work to this, and they've been recognized. You can see here. And have you heard of Afroz Shah? Okay, if you've not heard of him, then you should hear of him. He is a young man who's a lawyer, of course, who started cleaning Versova Beach. Versova Beach had in Mumbai, if anybody has in Mumbai, I lived in Mumbai for 9 years. I know that Versova Beach had about 4 to 5 feet, height of trash in entire beach. So this young man, when he bought a flat there, he just was very disturbed with this particular trend, and he started cleaning beach on his own, all by himself. Every day he would go and pick up some stuff. And slowly, in his story, he tells that first person to join him was an 83-year-old man. 83-year-old man from the society. But after that, slowly people joined him. A lot of people joined him. And then it became the largest beach cleanup drive in the entire world, where they've cleared almost 9 million kgs. And he is a celebrity now. You can go to Facebook page of this guy or any of these people that I mentioned over here and see what they're doing. They are doing fantastic job in getting the sustainability. This is just an example. This has got nothing to do with IT, but this has got something to do with the sustainability mindset. That contribution that I can make as an individual to my country is what matters. Okay. So this girl, young girl, again like you, Maitri Jariwala, who lives in Surat, she was very perturbed by the flowers that have been thrown away from temples and other religious places, which are clogging waters and creating pollution. So what did she do? She started a company of her own, and then for recycling of flowers, collecting these flowers and makes them into incense sticks, organic holy colors, and such things. There is this Pradeep Sangwan. If you have not heard of Pradeep Sangwan, please go and Google about him. He's doing a great job in cleaning Himalayas. Himalayas, again, the wetlands of Himalayas are some of the sources of water for the entire country, right? So this man has, again, like previous example of Firoz Shah, he started cleaning this, Himalayas. When he went for a trek, he was very disturbed by it. And he started cleaning the patches of Himalayas by himself. After that, people joined him. People joined him, and some companies like India Hikes and all are organizing treks along with him, in which it's a difference. You make a difference there. You go and collect the garbage and come back, and something kind of a thing. And there is a young man called as Vivek Gurav. He was an engineering student when he was very disturbed by the pollution that was there next to his college. And then he started cleaning that river all by himself and started getting some of his friends to do it. And then now it has become a big, a movement in Pune, where it's something called as Pune Ploggers. If you just go to Instagram or any of the Facebook or LinkedIn, you go to Pune Ploggers, you'll see that. That means every day the joggers in the morning, they go for jogging and then pick up this stuff, pick up a lot of garbage and then clean it. So he's doing his bit, and he's also become very popular. Very, very inspiring young man, And another example, there's just 2-3 examples I'll leave you with, something like this. These four people into college students, young childhood friends came together and they started a eco nature. If you're ever buying some kind of furniture, which is not very expensive, of course, can go for this kind of a thing. Then there is this Trupti Gaikwad, who's, this is very, very different. When I went through people who are making difference, I found this very, very inspiring. This girl actually started picking up the old idols, and then used her, influence, not her influence, she had no influence. She was just studying law at that time when she started this. And then, using some people in her society, she started recycling of these old idols. And she's doing a great service to the country by doing this. Like this, there are a lot of stuff. There's a lot of examples that, you guys can take forward. Like, and these are some of these ideas also that will come into this, like this usejetnew.com. If you go to that, they refurbish old computers and old, laptops and mobiles, and they sell it at a very throwaway price, and which is very good, in fact. Then there is this Rhino machines, and there is one particular example of this, EV machines. There's a lot of scope in electric vehicles in the future, and a lot of startups are coming up. I just have an example of 2 of my friends, Narsimham and Bimal Lakra, who started a company called from IIT Delhi. In fact, when they left Navy after 15-16 years, they started this company. And today it is the only company in India which is manufacturing these motors called as axial flux motors, which otherwise the companies would have imported from China. Companies like Honda and TVS and Ola, who are going into the EV sector, they're buying these, they've partnered with these people to get these axial flux motors into their electric vehicles. So this is very inspiring. So a lot of you can do it, and there are a lot of ideas, there are a lot of ideas. This is the last idea that I'm giving, that there is this guy called Anand Raj in Bangalore, who's started this. He took his father's juice shop and turned it into first zero waste juice shop. He's a celebrity in Bangalore. Yeah. He's a celebrity in Bangalore. You can Google him and you can see him. Okay. Right. And since being in Navy, I would, leaving the last thing that, even the armed forces have done their contribution. And Indian Navy, this was where I had also participated along with some NCC, SCC students for cleaning up of beaches. So this was in Vizag, in fact, cleaning of Visakhapatnam beaches. So there's a lot that people are doing. And this is what I mean by, being an action-oriented leader. That, you guys and girls have to take it, there's always this feeling that where do we start? What do I do for the country as a student, as an individual? What do I do? So this is what these are the examples. That is the reason I gave you these examples, that as an individual, you can do a lot. You can start from where, you can start from very, very small thing like your home or your neighborhood, and then you can take it forward, So the last thought is that again, sustainability mindset. It has to go into your mindset. And with this, I come to end of my talk here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. We actually enjoyed it, and we are really feeling pepped up to do something, So it was great to hear from you about different. Actually, they are the two leaders who are taking initiative, for the sustainable development. So, I mean, I am really feeling proud of you also, and thank you so much for enlightening us. So that is, students, if you have any question, you can post that in the chat box. Actually, you are not allowed to unmute yourself, I know. So let me give you, okay.
And sir, one more thing I want to add, such kind of motivational stories always boost our confidence to do something about country by our own efforts or by collective effort. And as our young generation, our students can take these challenges and take further for sustainable development, then only the motive of this seminar will truly fulfill. So students, you can ask questions.
I think they can unmute themselves and ask also if they want to.
Either you can post your queries or you can straight away ask. Okay, sir. Till the time student will ask, I just wanted to ask, as a teachers, what we can do for society for sustainable development other than our teaching part? What do you think?
So that's what I said, when I put that thing, you have to put that mindset, sustainability mindset, basically. So, a few days back when that particular photograph that I have put when I went along with students to Vizag beach and cleaned up, that was also my turning point. Okay. That was also my turning point where I saw these young children who were very, very enthusiastic. Initially, they were not very, very happy about spending their Sunday on in that uniform and trying to clean up. But once they did the job, once they saw that that beach became clean.
Yes.
After that, they do that, then you can see those smiles on their faces. Then you could see that sense of achievement in those kids. So you have to push them towards the action. That is where the mindset. You just talking is not enough. You have to push them towards.
And all the time we are waiting somebody else to take action, and we won't be the part of that army. So we need to change our mindset first. Then things will change.
Yes.
So, any questions?
Okay, if anybody has any questions regarding joining Navy, Indian Armed Forces, either Army, Air Force, or Navy, my advice is that it's very easy nowadays. Earlier, when we had joined, the information was not readily available. So you just have to Google join Indian Navy or join Indian Army or join Indian Air Force. Then there are websites with a lot of information. And I have a very message for the girls over here, the girls, especially the girl students over here, that Indian Armed Forces is providing very good opportunities for becoming women officers. Recently, I don't have the photograph right now. There was recently, I think, Payal Mishra or something her name is. She became the first woman to be a fighter pilot in India. Okay. And you must have heard is Rafale jets. Yes. A lot of people must have heard Rafales, which have come newly. So she's piloting. She's the one who's started flying the Rafale jet. So there are a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of vacancies. And Indian Armed Forces are one of the most professional armed forces in the entire world. And there is no discrimination. There is no discrimination to women, unlike a lot of Western countries who tend to preach. But we in India, we don't have that kind of a thing. And there are a lot of opportunities. So I would love to see some of you going into that kind of, this kind of careers.
Sir, in case if any student has any question, can I share your email ID with them? I mean, related to Navy or related to green practices, whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would love to answer. Yes.
So thank you so much, sir.
Ma'am, I want to ask a question. May I?
Yeah, sure. Please.
First, can you on your camera if possible?
So 1 second.
Sir, I don't think so. I have given them rights. Okay.
Yes, sir. It's
Okay.
not permitted. Good afternoon, sir. So my question to you is that what do you think that what is the scope of Indian marketing agencies and like management in the field of sustainability and green marketing if we compare India with the whole world?
Okay, now I will put it this way. Okay, very good question. Of course, thanks for asking that question. I'll put it this way, saying that, okay, till 2020, it was probably not India's time. So now, but the next 30, 50 years is going to be the time of this country. I definitely can say with conviction that you guys are living in a very, very golden age of this country. So the next 50 years belong to this country. So in every field, especially in sustainability, in every field, in fact, I didn't share a report that I saw by Deloitte, which says that by 2070, after Prime Minister had announced the sustainability goal of net zero by 2070, they had taken out a report, which says that Indian industry can grow if you take sustainability efforts in every which way, whether it is in finance, marketing, even in manufacturing, even in the industry, even in the aviation industry, or armed forces and all that. If you take it forward, there is a market is that of about $13 to $14 trillion, which is 4 times, 5 times the economy of the country at present, right? So that is the kind of opportunities that are there. So every place in sustainability there is opportunities. There's no doubt about it. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for the answer. But sir, isn't it that we still have a long way to cover and long way to go if we talk about green marketing implementation in India at a larger scope?
Yes, definitely. Like I said, there is some amount of greenwashing. There is some amount of talk that people are still not walking. A lot of corporates have not prioritized sustainability or green because see, there is a background that in last 2 years or so, a lot of companies have taken a hit because of this pandemic. Okay, so next 3-4 years, you will not see companies talking about sustainability and bringing greenery and all that into their practices. It is only the big companies like Amazon or the Googles and the Deloittes and all that they're talking about the sustainability part of it and putting into business practices. But a lot of smaller businesses are still reeling from the pandemic and trying to reel from the losses and all that. So it'll tend to happen. Of course, it is a long road ahead. That's why I said that next 30 years or next 50 years belong to this country. So every contribution matters.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the answer.
And
just one small question. I mean, I am not from the IT background, but still I am from the finance background, and we hear a lot about, nowadays we are talking about cryptocurrencies and everything, right? So cryptocurrencies, when we talk about cryptocurrencies, we talk about blockchain technology. And when we talk about blockchain technology, a lot of carbon emission, I mean, this is electricity consumption, and then further carbon emission is there. So anything you have to say about that? I mean,
no, see, blockchain is
one way, I mean, my question is, one way these technologies are emerging, and other way we are talking about green practices.
Yes.
So,
yes. So good question. Thanks again for asking that question. Blockchain, why it takes up a lot of computing power behind it. Needs a lot of computing power behind blockchain, and not only blockchain. There are further technologies like quantum computing,
right,
which will in fact boost the right now. If it is going at speed of light, it will probably boosted it to 3 times the speed of light, the communication that is happening in quantum computing and all that. But that needs a lot of energy. So now it is not just about one particular aspect of IT over here. It is about energy now. The entire thing is about energy, because everything that is boosting this particular computing power of for the blockchains and for the all the new technologies is what is the energy. So what are we doing right now? We are burning fossil fuels for energy, right? We are burning 70% of energy today is produced by burning coal and fossil fuels. So that has to reduce. So the answer lies there in having more sustainable power supplies. Companies are doing a lot, but there is still a lot to do. The answer lies there, the energy.
I think we have a question in the chat box also. So, sir, there is a question. Is there any way or any idea by which we can earn higher profits along with the e-waste management? I mean, Varun, I
Yes,
think-
definitely. Yes, definitely. Very good. Somebody is very interested in doing business here in e-waste management. Yes, there are stories of e-waste management, because see, e-waste management, what happens is that there is, when I'll give you an example of a bottle that comes. Suppose a soft drink bottle which is packed in a plastic thing. So what happens is that on bottle there are labels and there is that ink that is there on top of it. So if you there are two types of e-waste, two types of recyclable products that come out of it. One is, if you don't remove any of these labels and inks and all that, the quality of the product is not very good. So it will sell for very less cost. But if you there are ways and methods, like I've spoken about these guys from Bangalore, right? The Banyan Nation. What they have tried to do is they remove the impurities from the plastic on top. They remove impurities, which is in the form of ink and labels and a lot of other things which are there on top of it. And in the same form, they put it back into the industry. So that is high quality plastic. The cost of this will be boosted by some 200-300%. If it was selling for like 4 rupees a kg, now it will sell for 25 rupees a kg. That particular plastic, once it is done. But that technology, once it is done, once for inventing, probably bringing in the technology, the initial cost might be high, but over a long period of time, you will improve the cost. So this is one example that I can think of in this particular thing. Definitely, there's a lot of scope. Innovation is the key again. I hope I answered the question.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So thank you so much, sir. Any more question, Parvinder ma'am, from chat box?
Sir, I can't see any question in the chat box now.
Sir, do you mean we need to sell the plastic bottles without any labeling or without any kind of caps on it? I think without any kind of extra efforts like in marketing.
Okay, so there are a lot of YouTube videos available on this also. If you see what I meant to say is that if the plastic is sold the same way it is to a recycler, okay, so he will use it in a recycling effort or in a manufacturing effort that needs low quality of plastic. But if you're able to find a way around it, remove the impurities from plastic and take it the same way as what it was when it was manufactured, then that will become a high quality plastic and it can be used back in the same industry, probably of that bottling industry.
Okay.
And they will also save a lot of money. And the recycler who's doing this will also get a little bit of higher value for that particular plastic. It's the same for glass also. The same for other stuff.
Thank you, sir. Got your point.
It's called circular economy.
Thank you, sir.
Parvinder ma'am?
No further
no
questions.
question.
No, yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for a wonderful talk and motivate our students to join Indian Navy, either Army or Air Force. So we'll see more students in future in Army also, and whatever you talked about, students will definitely practice in their life. Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. We are proud to have you on our panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you once again, sir.
You're welcome.
Over to you, Saina.
Thank you so much, sir. Now it takes me an immense pleasure for me to invite a third speaker, Mr. Murari, who is a chartered accountant by profession. Mr. Murari possesses nearly 2 decades of industry experience in managing finance and large manufacturing operations. His core area of expertise are building business, finance, and profitability, system design, and cost optimization. He has been instrumental in designing and implementation of various sustainability initiatives involving industry, environment, and the society, especially in the framework of ISO 26000 and UN Sustainable Development Goals. Currently, as a director, he is leading his own entrepreneurship startup venture, Ethic Salt Creations Private Limited, a fast-growing high fashion brand. As part of the continuous improvement, he has done certification courses in IFRS and ICAI, Lean Management, Leadership, and Managerial Decision Making from IIM Kolkata, and undergone multiple leadership and life skill upgradation training through Goldratt Consulting, Stephen Covey, to name a few. We are highly pleased by a remarkable feat of profession and are eagerly waiting to hear your percept on green finance. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much for your welcome and this nice words. So I'll just share my screen. I think it's visible to everyone.
Yes, sir. It's no, abhi to no. No, sir. It's not visible now.
Sir, I can see. I can
Yes,
see
sir,
it.
it is visible.
It is visible, sir.
It's visible.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, visible to me also.
Yes. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Parmanjan. Thank you for giving this opportunity to interact with the students. It's always, nice to be among young minds, the future leaders. There are two, things that I have to manage. First, giving a brief about green financing, but the bigger challenge is in this afternoon session to keep everyone, attentive. This is very tricky post-lunch or around lunch session to keep everyone engaged, especially the young students. For me as a student, it used to be very, very big challenging thing. Anyway, although it's a technical session, but I'll try to keep it as non-technical as possible for better understanding, for better understanding of the student, because I can correlate certain things. We started in the industry, these all the sustainability initiatives, and then the green practices, green manufacturing, green finance, green accounting, So we have to first understand what is this all idea of green is. If I go into the table of contents for next half an hour or two, I'm going to talk with the students. Although Mr. Jain has in a very articulated manner, he has given this concept of sustainability and this green manufacturing. What is green manufacturing? How industries of adopting these green practices in business. But still, I'll revisit this concept of sustainability to make it little more comprehensible, and that's relatable to our day-to-day activity. Then environment versus this development. Again, the same thing. What is this sustainability and why this sustainability altogether has become the talk of the town? Then I'll go in a little bit to the background of what is that global initiatives, Indian initiatives, and then eventually we'll come into the topic of green finance. Again, in green finance it will be an introductory sort of, okay, what is this green finance? Why this green finance? How to this mechanism of green finance operates. Then a little bit of idea what is this green accounting, just to give the students an idea what is this green accounting all about. So by end of this session, I can assure everyone, these students at least, you will be having this fair idea of what is sustainability and what is this concept and why this is necessary, why we cannot live without this terminology and without practicing these concepts or these business practices. This concept of sustainability. So let's not get into this jargon of defining a word. It's such a very difficult thing if you have to define sustainability into a particular parameter. But if you see the word itself, if you go to it etymologically, what this sustainability word is meant for. It's meant for to support, to hold up, to bear, to keep up. To maintain the level on which anything is there. If you are able to maintain the same level, it's to sustain. Now, sustainable is a composition of again sustain and plus able, and sustainability again with sustainability it's become, the word the sustainability has come, sustain, able to sustain, and sustainability. The noun means the ability to be maintained at a certain rate of level. Sustainability, if it is the synonyms, it's a permanence, continuity, longevity, consistency. So anything which is continuous, which is consistent, which has got a longevity in practical aspect, that's sustainability. It's a technical, in business world, we call it sustainability. So you can correlate it with anything, with your day-to-day life, with your business environment, with your college, which you know, anything you do, if you can continue with longevity, if you can continue with the same rate, if you can continue with some degree of permanence, so you are doing that activity with sustainability. Now we have to relate this concept of sustainability with business world, commerce world, with economics, with finance, with accounting, with marketing, and with production. Okay, why this concept of sustainability has suddenly become so relevant to us, or this concept of sustainability, why this has become not a choice, but it has become a necessity for all of us. Again, if you go to the dictionary or if you go to the web, you will find certain terminology like sustainability means meeting our own needs without compromising the ability to future generations to meet their own needs. That again means that level of resources, the natural resources we are relying on to survive or to meet our day-to-day needs, to upgrade our living, upgrade our living standards. So those things are maintained at a certain availability of those natural resources are maintained at a certain level. Those resources are available not only for us, but for the next generations and all the generations to come. The three pillars that has already been talked by the previous speakers, profit, planet, and the people. And basically sustainability is a balance, an equilibrium, when we can find the equilibrium between people, profit, and the planet. Profit becomes, as a business leader, that becomes our prime focus, generating shareholders wealth, generating profit. If we are doing some activity, we have to generate profits. As a planet, there are certain environmental requirements, the clean water, the clean air, the natural resources, the forestations, the natural habitats, and certainly then people, the society and the people, their quality of life, whether the level of education, the health facilities, so everything. So when this interest of people's interest, commercial interest in terms of profit, and planet's interest, that's basically maintaining the environment. The equilibrium between all these things is sustainable. Sustainability is like when you find an equilibrium in your activity that takes care of people's interest, commercial interest, and planet's interest. So that's the whole concept of being sustainable. Now, there are certain beliefs, some questions also come. Sustainability, if you are going to be sustainable, or we are talking about economic growth, so we are going to contribute adversely to the environment. That environmental problems that comes as a cost to the economic growth. Regulatory, when it comes to regulatory regime, again, the same belief is if you go for a stricter environment, it will be detrimental to the economic growth. It will be detrimental to the industrialization and industrial growth. So traditionally, we used to believe, and we have been believing till very recently, it's a between trade-off. Either we can have a healthy environment or we can have a healthy growth. Either we can have a business for opportunity or we can constrain the business opportunity. Now, of late, the talk is going on for last 2.5 decades, but last a decade or so, it has become it has come on the forefront, where every world leader, every world organization, every commercial organization, all large business houses, even now medium-sized and small business houses, they have started talking about this sustainability, adopting green techniques. So why so? Because now there are certain form of development that has been proven, that has been come into practices that are both environmentally and socially sustainable. Like we talked about renewable energy, we talked about rainwater harvesting, we talked about alternative fuels, we talked about innovations, we talked about building technology. So there are now technologies have evolved to a great extent, which takes us away from the trade-off, to whether either it can be growth or it can be development. Now, both can happen. Even growth can happen, development can happen, and simultaneously environmental can be protected. So society can be, they can be positively rewarded. And so it's not a trade-off. Development can happen, with and improved environmental conditions. So this is what all sustainable development is all about. It's a very big change. You can call it a revolutionary change in the way we approach these issues. So business and societies, of course, they can find approaches and are finding approaches that will move towards all these three goals: environmental protection, social well-being, economic development, and all at the same time. Sustainable development, it's no more, it's not like that, it's some part of business you have to think about it as a matter of practice or some activity you're doing sustainability. It has become now the whole concept of doing good business. Sustainable development has become a good business in itself. While introduction, as you have heard that term ISO 26000, it's a very specific standards which has come on corporate social responsibility. So that again, for social responsibility, till very recently, it used to be a part of profit has to be go towards CSR. Now, if you look at a holistic manner, you can design your business policy keeping in mind the CSR, and it will be a sustainable business practices. It's a win-win paradigm for the businesses when you don't take it as a byproduct or as an additional activity, rather than your main activity focus, all your business policies, your business objectives, your mission and vision is designed taking a very holistic view of keeping your sustainable framework and your CSR, broader objectives framework into the mind, so that it has become a business in itself. Little bit of history again, why this all this started. The talk is going for multiple decades, but during 1992, first a formal when the UN, the nations, almost 178 countries, they adopted Agenda 21, a comprehensive plan to action of global partnership for sustainable development. The talk kept on going, and in 2015 they come up with a 17 identifiable sustainable growth that is going to be a guiding principle for all the businesses across globe, which is going to be the bigger objective that everybody has to strive to achieve for. And that's going, if you have to have a healthy globe, healthy, future, healthy environment. So we have to those intangible, all these objectives were given a formal shape in terms of these 17 SDGs that we call Sustainable Development Goal. If it's, we can go into detail separately for these SDGs, but if we go, these are all interrelated objectives, poverty, hunger, good health, economic growth, clean water and sanitation, cleaner air, cleaner land on life, cleaner aquatic life, climate actions, responsible consumption. So these are all interrelated things. Ultimately, all the global leaders and all the countries, they have put a target of 2030. We have achieved these, we have to eradicate poverty, we have to eradicate hunger. When all these things will come up, where all these things will come up, we have put an objective. What is the process? The process is economic growth. The process is industrialization. The process is generating employment. The process is bringing prosperity, and that will all come up with economic activity. So economic activity we cannot avoid. Simultaneously, environmental damage, we cannot keep on going with this environmental damage. So this bringing a balance, adopting technology, adopting innovations, that has become compulsory. There is no other choice than to become environmentally responsible, or responsible towards your nature, responsible towards your society, responsible towards your all the regulatory framework. Another thing, Mr. Jain also talked about it in little brief. The Paris Agreement, it's called the Paris Climate Accord 2015. When people went into a legal binding to limit the global warming below 2% by end of this decade, preferably 1 degree Celsius compared to pre-industrial level. Now, what is the scenario if we don't take any drastic or these steps? What is the estimation? If we keep on improving ourselves, so by end of this decade, the global warming will be around 5 to 6%. And if the deterioration will keep on happening the way it's happening as of now, the global warming by end of this decade will be 10 to 11%, and major part of the planet will not be conducive for people to live there. It will be inhabitable. So that's the challenge we are dealing with. Now, so many activity we have discussed. Now, this will give a perspective to move us towards a whole new mechanism for green finance or green accounting, or for that matter, green manufacturing or green marketing. So when we talked about bringing in all these major changes, so many activities, so many drastic changes, adoptions of innovation and technology, it has all got a not cost but investment. What is the quantum of investments? Again, there are very varying figures that people are estimating. One of the most authentic data that has come into the market, that was the Boston Consulting Group. I'm quoting those figures here. Now, they have estimated a sum of $3 to $5 trillion over next 30 years. If we keep on investing year on year up to $3 to $5 trillion, so we are talking about an amount in tune of something like 125 trillion to 150 trillion over next 30 years. If you are aware, if you have to just estimate what is this volume of this amount, Indian economy is currently at around $3 trillion. So every year you need investment in tune of Indian economic size to get into all these sustainable activities, to bring our planet up to keep our planet a place to live by end of this decade. So that gives a perspective to look at things differently. Why the green finance, the existing financial mechanism cannot cater the need of the green finance or the coming year, what is going to be our requirement. So little bit of detail of the data. If you're talking about 50 trillion dollars, average 3 to 5 trillion per annum up to 2050, to keep our planet a safe place to live. These are the different sectors: power, iron and steel, cement, chemicals, transport, aviation, shipping, agriculture, building. The second para where I'd like you to focus, more than half of this investment is being required in Asia. And Asia also currently, although that America, US and the European countries have played their part in that pollution, in damaging the greenhouses previously. Now the biggest climate polluters currently are China, followed very closely by India and of course US. Because this manufacturing, all these manufacturing hubs has been shifted, where we are contributing to pollution. Major part goes to our manufacturing activity, but this consumption happens somewhere else. Majority, both China and India are export-oriented markets. Mostly manufacturing happens in these two countries, in some part, of course, Bangladesh, and there are some other development countries. But this manufacturing activity has moved from developed country to developing or underdeveloped countries due to multiple reasons. One is, of course, the biggest is cost arbitrage. So we have to identify, we have to recognize, key one aspect, sustainability is the way of life. Second, it needs a big quantum of investment. Third, our existing financial mechanism, that may not be sufficient to meet our current requirement or future requirement. We have to change the way we are looking at things. If we want a different result, so we have to change the way we are doing things little differently, not only on your manufacturing side, on your innovation side, on your technology side, but also from financial side. Again, how this investment is going to come, so mostly it's going to come through banking channels. Almost half again, the bond market that is going to be a mix of those through banking, financial institutions, maybe government, and then equity, that where you equity participations when people are participating in equity contribution in this green finance companies. This investment, again, sector wise, every sector requires certain degree of certain level of investment. When UN, both UN identify this goal, they identified, we have identified the sustainable development goal. So now the action started how to achieve those sustainable development goals. This was recognized, that we need a different financial mechanism. We need a huge volume of finance. So a special division for sustainable development goals were established in United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs. It is working with countries, financial regulators, and finance sectors to align financial systems to the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda to direct financial flows to support the delivery of sustainable development goals. Because unless until investment goes, it's just a cycle. If we have to improve on our carbon emission, if we have to adopt new technology, if we have to change technology, so all these required finance. So this United Nations also, they identified without active participations or with existing financial regulation, this is going to be a little difficult. So that specific action-oriented activity started with establishment of this United Nations Department of Division of Sustainable Development Goals. With this background, now I'll take you to this. What is this green finance all about? Why we are calling it green finance? Why not a normal finance, and why we need to term it a little differently? So basically, green financing is to increase the level of financial flows from banking, maybe from banking, microcredit, insurance, investment, from both from public, private, and your not-for-profit sectors to sustainable development priorities. A key part of this is to better manage environmental and social risk, take up opportunities that bring both a decent rate of return and environmental benefit, and deliver greater accountability. Green growth or sustainable growth seeks economic development that we have already discussed. Without development, we cannot achieve any of this sustainable development growth, whether it's poverty, whether it's economic growth, whether it's cleaner air, water, or aquatic or marine life or land life. We cannot improve anything without a green growth, and that requires economic development. And in order to support this green growth, sustainable growth financially, the green finance sector needs to be developed. The drastic steps, whatever needs to be taken, that has become inevitable. So there are several concepts related to green finance. It has got multiple synonyms. It's also being called sustainable finance. It's also being called environmental finance. We call it carbon finance or climate finance. But the crux is any financing activity that is focused towards bringing the sustainable development sector as a priority sector, or to improve financial flows towards activity that is going to contribute in financial, in environmentally responsible activity. So those financial mechanism broadly is called green finance. Whether we call it sustainable finance, whether we call it environmental finance, whether we call it climate finance, it's the same thing, one and the same thing. Again, the financing of public and private green investment, including preparatory and capital costs in the following area of environmental goods and services, such as water management, protection of biodiversity, landscape, prevention and minimization, and compensation of damages to the environment and to the climate, such as energy efficiency or dam. So, all these, finance, whether it's coming from public or private, these are called green investment and green finance. Again, once you extend these definitions or understanding the term of finance, the financing of public policies, including operational costs that encourages the implementation of environmental damage mitigation or adoption projects and initiatives. For example, we talked about renewable energy, adopting solar technology, wind technology, or many new techniques, whether we are shifting towards green buildings, we are talking about green vehicles. Then components of the financial system that deal specifically with green investment, such as green climate fund or financial instrument for green investment, such as green bonds and structural green funds, including their specific legal, economic, and institutional framework conditions. So when we summarize understanding the term green finance, so it has got two broader approach. One is mitigating those environmental damage. The green finance has to play a role in mitigating those environmental challenges. And second, that can it's a targeted finance that support green growth, what we call about industrial growth or economic growth. The regions, again, why green finance? There are certain discussions. Why not green finance? We have already talked about certain things. Risks from environmental destruction and depletion of natural resources as increasing. Therefore, firms have to be prepared to handle those risks to avoid potential economic losses. Second, stakeholders require firm and financial agencies to be socially responsible, because everybody is, has started talking. They have search the internet. Every big global leaders, be it US President, be it our Honorable Prime Minister, so they have given their own commitments towards these economic environmental responsibility. Third, the seriousness of the problem has recently been magnified. In other words, there has been a change in social awareness of crises such as climate change, lack of natural resources and environmental destructions, which we are seeing these tsunamis, this depleting glaciers, increasing sea levels, so where the people areas or land areas are getting submerged. So there are many environmental destructions that is going on. Secondly, due to this digital technology, people have become, these news are reaching people quite fast. So people are becoming more and more aware about all these developments. Fourth, international agreement and regulations on the environment are gradually being reinforced. We see Paris Accord, we see before that UN's SDGs, different various reporting activities. This ISO 26000 that has become a compulsory for in many countries. In India also, for certain companies it has become now mandatory. Fifth, management, terms of management, there are this new age leaders are taking over, who are well informed, who are well traveled, they are more connected to the globe. So management perspective, your traditional management is shifting more towards professional management, and this generation, what we call X, Y, and Z generation, those are more, what you call, they can relate themselves more towards this environmental and social cause, so that in every firm's management, the emphasis on sustainability is gradually increasing. There are certain, of course, difficulties and challenges preventing this smooth and green funding. First, investing in green industry has a high level of uncertainty. Typically, one, we have seen the quantum of finance, the level of finance that's required huge. Some of these projects or products that has got a very long term perspective. Many activities are such we cannot immediately measure in money. So those are certain things which is a challenge. This is what you call a roadblock, or maybe that is slowing the pace at which that activity should have moved. Now, for all these management students, this is a particular area of interest. This slide, I would like to focus if you have to be very clear about what is investments, what's the component of investment, why we invest, or why when we go for investment decisions or financing decisions. When you go into the practical world, either you are on the side of the company or you are side of the financial institutions. If you are the side of the company, you have to seek what's going to be the cost of fund. Whether you are you are in the side of the management or sitting on the board of a company, you have to see what is going to be your IRR, what is going to be your payback period, what is going to be your return, what is going to be your increase in wealth and things like that. So there is two extremes of that. Let's talk about two different extremes. One is purely a philanthropist, like we talk about Bill Gates Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundations, or Tata Trust, or some other Narayan Murthy's trust. Whether they are totally focused towards philanthropy. So their then expectation is social return. They are not bothered about, they are not looking for they should get a double-digit growth or their focus is if they are contributing in improving environment, in people's quality of life, they are happy. The another extreme is purely commercial investors. For example, if you are going to do a FD, a fixed deposit into the bank, we are purely looking after economic return. What the rate of the interest, what the rate of interest that bank is going to offer us. So these are two typical extreme of traditional investors and traditional finance seekers. One is philanthropists, another is commercial investors. Now, in between lies the mixed value investors, where social return, good use of capital, and socially responsible investors, whether we are talking about economic return with social impact consideration. So we have to, the whole world has to move towards this third category, which is socially responsible investors, where not only we have to look at economic return, simultaneously we have to see the social impact consideration also. Of course, economic return is important, but once we start recognizing, if we start putting value to our economic value generation, so then economic return will also play a key role into our decision making. We all have studied, if not, you must be going to be taught how we calculate the return. Of course, it's see the second line, economic return plus is price change in investment plus dividend. Whenever we do any investment, we have to see what's the return. Either we got some periodically, whether it's in terms of return, dividend, or in terms of interest, or the capital appreciation, that is change in the price of investment. Now, in case of green investment, we have to broaden this horizon, economic return plus green return. How this green return derives? It derives from the value of that improvement that our investment is bringing towards greener cause. The green return is the investment, but if you technically green return is the enhanced green value. For example, if the green project reduces carbon emissions, the reduced volume of emissions will be the green return. Compared to conventional financial instrument, if we talk about purely in terms of financial law, your green finance instrument yields on an average 15-20% lesser return, but that's typically called these days the greenium, or the green premium that we are either bearing or we are foregoing on our green investment or green finance. As a future corporate leader, we always have to treat this greenium or a green premium or this green value as a commitment towards a sustainable growth and as an incentive to invest in green projects, typically which have a longer gestation period. As corporate leader, the prime focus of decision making for any investment or borrowing has to shift from the perspective of a shareholder to the perspective of all stakeholders. Similarly, returns or cost, the perspective has to shift purely from a financial consideration toward a more comprehensive total social impact consideration. Now little bit in brief about what could be the green financial products and what are the green financial products available. Due to this increased awareness, public opinion, environmental regulatory frameworks, and rise in demand for these products, banks have started enlarging their portfolio, and these can be broadly divided into 4 banking segments. One is your retail banking, where you have green mortgages, green home equity loans, green commercial building loans, green car loans, green cards. These are typically the existing products, but little bit of device terms and conditions. You know, if you are having a home loan for a normal house, is going to cost you 7 or 8%. If it's a green home, it may cost you 5 to 6%. So this is how you are going to be incentivized to go for green home. Then there are corporate and investment banking, where you have green project finance, green securitizations, green venture capital, green indices, green commodities. Now, asset management, from mutual fund and asset management perspective, you have typically the green investment funds, the carbon fund, the fiscal funds, which is focused towards green investment. Investor can accept lower interest rate on these investments, and bank will offer in return these green loans at a lower cost. Then green insurance, of course, there's all these insurance cost for these green initiatives, be it green factory or green some technology. So that premium are tailored premium. Those are a little bit different from the traditional insurance premium. Regulatory framework, there are 4 broader areas. One is disclosure in financial and non-financial by companies in their financial, along with their P&L and balance sheet. Now, a specific requirement are there to disclose their financing activity, those sustainability disclosure. Second is directional and concessional lending. The bank has been being given mandate to a person to keep their lending portfolio, a certain percentage of their lending portfolio towards these green activities. Third is micro and macro prudential regulations, financial for non-financial and non-financial institutions. And fourth is establishment of green financial institutions. For example, if you talk, say that UK in UK, they way back they have started the bank, the UK Green Investment Bank PLC. The South Korea, they have come with a specific legislation. Now let's talk about our Indian perspective. Although we have been discussing this for long, but the major strategic move came in 2012 when SEBI made it mandatory for top 100 listed entities based on market capitalization to publish annual business responsibility reports. May 2017, SEBI issued guidelines for green bond issuance. Ministry of Corporate Affairs imposed those mandatory reporting of progress on CSR under Companies Act 2013. RBI, in 2017, they issued a notification on corporate social responsibility, sustainable development, and non-financial reporting role of banks. So they have given a roadmap how banks has to, upgrade themselves or integrate themselves with all these activities. In 2008, the National Action Plan on Climate Change was formulated with a vision to outline the broad policy framework. The Climate Change Finance Unit was formed in 2000, when Ministry of Finance, as a coordinating agency, they started playing a role with financial institutions to provide this green finance in India. This is the whole ecosystem market structure where you have to be, the product, what will be the product, where the demand will come, who are going to be the intermediary, what is the supply chain, who are the stakeholders, how they are going to play their role. I'm going to share this slide. So this can be circulated. You can go through this in detail. So this was in brief about what is this concept of green finance, the background, why this green finance, what is sustainability, and correlating those green finance with our day-to-day activity. Typically with future business leaders, where we have to broaden every business decisions we take, not only from the perspective of shareholders, but for the largest perspective of stakeholders. Now, a little bit of green accounting. green finance, we have talked about what is green accounting. So green accounting is typically when we start putting these environmental costs or environmental outcomes into our financial reports. When we typically, the current days financial reporting systems, where we typically, the three documents that are necessary is your balance sheet, your profit and loss account, and the cash flow statement. When we start incorporating, and then all these CSR activities, this comes as separate disclosure. When you start putting figures, numbers to these financial, non-financial activities, especially the sustainable activity, and start including that into your mainstream financial reporting system. So those concept of accounting, putting value, putting figures, and developing accounting systems where you record these transactions at economic value in the books. From a macro perspective, from a country's perspective, currently any country's level of economic development is measured with either with GDP, or state national level, it's GDP, gross domestic product. At state level, it's gross state domestic product. They are not, they are basically designed to capture only manufactured goods or services into that development yardstick. They are not designed, these tools are not designed to capture the significant gains, losses of human capital and natural capital that happen year after year and affect the true and holistic wealth of the nation and its people. So when we move toward the concept of green accounting, so we have to know our national wealth should include not just a measure of manufactured assets and financial assets, but also natural capital that we call like wild reserve, minerals, forest, fresh water, air, cropland, fisheries, this is anything, human capital, social capital. So from traditional belief of measuring your sustainable growth as using your GDP and SDGP, GSDP as yardstick, to move towards per capita increase in national wealth, where we are including all these natural wealth also to measure our national development or our level of economic activity. So this is the whole concept of green accounting. In India, the discussions, although the discussions have started, some disclosure requirements are there, but it has not yet come into the mainstream of accounting for corporate, but we must be prepared ourselves, and it's going to come very soon. The discussions, the discussion papers and all those committees, those are still being, those are formed. So in next 5 to 10 years, this will be the norm of accounting also. So to conclude, due to lack of time, to conclude, sustainable growth mode is no more a choice. It is the only option now. So that when we have that all the options of behaving the way we are behaving in corporate sector, so that is no more a choice. The role of public finance is important, at government level, but keeping in mind the quantum and scale, the role of private finance is indispensable. We cannot do away with all these things without active participation of public at large. So green finance is necessary, and that strategy design and developing the green finance mechanism, that's a must. This includes improving rules and regulations of green finance to seek green growth. Establishing green financial institutions is going to be big steps in our country, at least. Utilizing those green climate fund, designing code of conduct for green finance, developing new green financial products, integrating a global cooperative systems, and setting up infrastructures, where we can create incubation center to design new innovations and new techniques. So with this, I'll conclude my slide. One YouTube link I would like everyone to go through. It's a 3-minute YouTube video. I would have played this here, but you can watch this. This was played as an inaugural video in last year in Geneva, Sustainable Development Goal Finance Summit, where world leaders, some of the very large world leaders, financial corporate leaders, they were spoken about what would the world look like if global capital was to solve the SDGs. what needs to change for that vision to materialize. So it's such a 3.5 minute video. So with that, I'll conclude my session. And I'd like to repeat one of the very good saying by C.S. Lewis. He's a well-known author from UK. You cannot go back and change the beginning, but of course, you can start where we are and change the ending. So all we have to do, take little step. One of the students, he was asking you what we can do as a management student. We can, straight away start from switching light in our bedroom, in our study room while we are not using. These are such a small activity. Switch on, switch off of lightage, using tap water. So those activities you can correlate with very small activity. There's not only the big things has to be done. You can always reach me. I've been other than that, I have piloted a project of ISO 26000 in India as my previous engagement with one of the largest manufacturing setup in India with Marks and Spencer's. It's a global UK brand, and ISO, this UN body which monitors this ISO 26000 with author of ISO 26000, Miss Martin Neuter. So we have piloted this project of integrating this CSR with mainstream business activity, and it's very simple. Economically, it makes a lot of sense. We have to just open our thinking process. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for your patient hearing. And if you have any query, either you can write me right now in the chat box, or you can mail me, WhatsApp me.
Yeah,
I'll say I'm happy to respond.
So just a small question, one from financing side. That is, we are hearing a lot about nowadays green shares and green bonds, and then carbon funds. So what do you suggest from the investment point of view? Is it worthwhile to invest in such shares and such bonds?
Ma'am, I talked to you, see, purely we have to, one is philanthropic perspective. Yes, of course, we have to run towards invest. Whatever surplus you have, invest everything toward in those green funds and green bonds. That's a philanthropic concept. Another is, no, you cannot do, because interest is hardly you will get. Other bonds you are getting 6, 7, 8%. Here you will get 3, 4, 5%. But you have to take a balance. We must, as a responsible investors, if I have a kitty of X amount, so today I have to take a pledge, 20% of my kitty I have to be put in green investment, because that is going to act as a catalyst,
okay,
to economic growth. So it's basically changing our perspective.
I mean, sir, I was just having a look at the share price of green share of Adani Limited, and also this is what we call Philips carbon share. I mean, I was having the look at that also. So I mean, if I talk, it was from like something started at around 800, and now it has I mean, it is above 2000. So with that perspective, I was asking you that it is advised.
Secondary market is altogether a different thing.
Right. I was asking about the secondary market only. I mean,
secondary market for it's not for, it's my personal view, but next 5 years or next 10 years is Adani's and Ambani's. So you can bet on them, whether it's green industry or so it's a secondary market is basically, it's just a different ball game. We are talking about purely who is funding Adani to become them Asia's largest greenfield projects manager.
Right.
They are having the largest solar setup in Asia now. So he's also getting funds. So those equity participants, those primary equity participants, those who have funded Adani Greens as such, they are not getting return 3 years, like, doubling their investment. So they have taken a place, they have taken a commitment towards renewable energy. In secondary market, of course, it's a future of Indian industry. Not only Adani Greens, any electronic vehicle, any renewable, any energy storage device manufacturer, there's EV manufacturers. So coming years are going to belong to them.
Right. Okay. And sir, one more question. I mean, is there any I mean, there is a difference, but I am not exactly able to make out. Social accounting is also dealing with environmental things.
Yes.
And then in green accounting, we are trying to incorporate the same thing. So what is exactly the difference between green accounting concept and social accounting?
See, you forget about accounting, whether it's green marketing, green accounting, green manufacturing, social. So these green, sustainable, social, environmental, climate, these are all interchangeable words.
Right.
Green becomes more comprehensible. Like social is one component, environmental is one component, financial is one component. So green becomes a broader umbrella, and this social accounting, yes, it's a component of green accounting. When I'm talking about green accounting, I'm also talking about environmental accounting. I'm also talking about three different, and of course, social accounting.
Right.
Green accounting becomes an umbrella, and then this becomes component.
Okay, sir. Fine. Thank you so much, sir.
Hello, Ravindra ma'am. I have a question from sir.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
So, sir, a very good discussion. Sir, I just want to ask you, should government mandatory to all the companies to follow the green accounting, as right now it's not compulsory? So what about your point of view?
See, government role is important. Regulatory framework is one of the key component of this whole concept. Now we have to think green accounting. There are multiple regulations already in place.
Yeah.
You as like pollution control norms. You see the changes of last 10 years. Now you have must face the green. In NCR, all the industries have moved up. So there are multiple regulations that already has come in place. Green accounting talks are in place. The discussions have started, but now neither as on date nor in coming next 2 to 3 years, social accounting is going to be a norm. That's for sure, as a chartered accountant also, because accounting has got its different parameters. As a financial, you need to understand different things. But we are moving towards it very fast. In medium terms, not in long term, but in medium terms, if you say 5 to 10 years, yes, to some degree, this is going to be mandatory. Today, it's mandatory to large companies to formulate a CSR committee or group board of directors. That has become mandatory way back, some 10 years back. Reporting for, I've talked about, SEBI has mandated certain disclosures. Under Companies Act 2013, there are certain disclosures. Board of directors report goes towards your CSR activities and its impact, and so reporting has already started. Government has given in mandate. Now incorporating into mainstream accounting, whether we are talking about balance sheet, whether this balance sheet is saying impact or not, we have not yet started. Yes, in new IFRS, when we have gone into Ind AS and all those things, so they have certain steps, like we are bringing everything. At least we have moved from historical cost to a more current cost concept, fair value concepts. Those are steps towards green accounting, incorporating into mainstream accounting only. It will take some time, but it will be sooner.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. So,
yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Can we have, Sanjana, sorry. Are you there?
Over to you, Sanjana.
Yes, ma'am. It is a great pleasure for me to introduce our last speaker for today, who is going to share his insights on the topic green marketing. Let us all welcome Mr. Varun Kesarvani. Mr. Varun completed his PGDM in marketing from GIMS in 2012. He has 10 years of experience across banking, media, e-commerce, and fintech organizations, the likes of HT Media, Ola Cab, and Paytm, to name a few. He has worked across business development, B2B and enterprise sales, and business roles. He is currently working with Airstap, a leading name in the digital payment ecosystem, headquartered out of Bangalore, co-founded by Abhijit Bose and Bhakta Keshavchar. We are really glad to have you here today.
Thank you. Am I audible to you, sir?
Yes, you are audible, Varun.
Okay. Thank you, Parminder ma'am, for giving me this chance. Thank you, Navneet sir.
It's our privilege to have you here, Varun.
And happy to see you on board.
Right. Even I'm happy. And there's an interesting thing that I need to tell you all. There are 193 participants and it's almost 225.
Yes.
I thought this number will go down, but it has increased. Yeah, this is pretty interesting actually, and I'm all geared up
Some
for
of the
this.
students were joining through, YouTube link. So now they have switched. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Murari. And also it was a privilege to share the dais with Mr. Ajay Jain and Mr. Bhim Reddy, an ex-Navy commander. I mean, what a privilege to be on the panel, on the same panel. And again, honestly, I'll have to tell you, I'm coming back to, it looks like I'm coming back and interacting with my own alma mater after about 10 years. So students, I've been a part of you. I've been a part of the campus that you study in, or unfortunately working from home, right? You all are studying from home right now, but not unfortunately. I think it's pretty fortunate for you all. I'll come to that later. But I was very much a part of you, I mean, 10 years back. So plus 10 years and you'll be where I am today. I think you're all in the age group of what, 18, 19, 20, correct? Correct. Right. Okay. Excellent. So I'll just share my screen. Ma'am, you can just tell me if it's, can you see my screen, ma'am?
Varun, it is getting shared, I think.
Okay.
Just wait for a file.
Sure.
Varun, if you can share this again, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second.
No. Varun, I think I am not able to see the screen.
Okay. Can anyone else confirm? Navneet, sir, can you confirm?
No, I'm not seeing.
Okay.
It is getting shared, but it is not.
Yes, the message is there ki Varun has started sharing the screen. Do one thing, just stop it and start.
Right. Okay.
Now I'm.
Is it there?
Yeah.
It's fine now.
Green practices. Yeah.
Right. Now that's the middle of it.
Yeah. It's moving also. Fine.
All right. Is it there now? Is the screen stable now?
Yes. Fine.
Okay, great. So green marketing. I was saying that thank you, Mr. Murari, that you got to talk about finance, because finance was my second subject 10 years back. And I'm so fortunate to get to talk about marketing, which I studied at GIMS. Okay. So what are green practices? I mean, we've been hearing this from morning now, and I promise one more thing. I hope you all have all got your lunch and all with you, and I would not want you to wait for your lunch till about 3 or 3:15. I'll keep it short. I'll keep it very simple. I'll keep it all about daily practices, what we see as an observer, because I don't come from, I'm not a person who's been doing green things all throughout. But yes, I after I've got this topic, I'm thinking of being a great admirer of what green is all about and inculcate some things. So please grab your lunch and then you can hear me. And if there are any questions, then I'll be very glad to answer you all. So green practices, anything by which you harm the environment, anything that is directly or maybe indirectly harming the environment, the ecological balance, the community, a simpler word, the society or the economy, is not something what is a green practice. Which means, for example, if you have a plastic, if you're using plastic right now to go and fetch your groceries, then you're not doing pretty good to the environment. So now, yeah, I spoke about that earlier and the slide is coming later. So these are some not so eco-friendly things that we keep doing on a daily basis. We use plastic packets, plastic straws. I'm sure there are so many of us who are non-vegetarian eaters. So they are greenhouse gases, if you do not know, that you are emitting in space. So which is again, not pretty good. Disposable paper coffee cups. No brownie points for this because you're harming trees. There are a lot of trees that have to get cut down for you to have that cup of coffee. Paper rolls, potato chips, diet soda, all of that. Now, why go green? Why not white? Why not red? Why not blue? Okay, because we do not inherit this earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. Now let that sink in. And tell me, I would want to make it a little interactive. I know you don't have your mics open, but we'll talk about it later. Out of all the lame questions that we've asked our grandparents, have you ever, think about it and tell me, have you ever asked your maybe dadu or dadi that आपके ज़माने में पेड़ होते थे, है ना? आपके ज़माने में हवा होती थी, आसमान नीला होता था, things like that? No, I'm sure not. Why? I mean, have you ever thought of why? Why didn't you ask them this? You must have asked them about so many other things, but not this. I'll tell you why. Because we have it all there, right? You can see the trees around, you can see the sky is blue, at least not in Delhi NCR, but other places. I'll come to this also later. So, and don't you think that 50 years down the line, we're 20 right now, 50 years down the line, when you are a grandparent, you should not be telling your children or your grandchildren that देखो हमने पेड़ भी extinct कर दिया जैसे dinosaur extinct हो गए थे. Like in today's world, we keep telling people that dinosaurs are extinct. And at that point in time, maybe we'll be telling our grandchildren that, you know, there were trees that existed then, but they're not, unfortunately, now. So we should give it to them exactly how we are getting it, even better now. I'll take you to some of the green practices that our Indian companies are following. For example, Indian Railways. A fun fact before I deep dive into what green they're doing. Indian Railways is the biggest employer in the world, right? That's for your IQ. So the network, the railway tracks are such that if you wrap around the entire railway track around the earth, your own earth, it'll wrap the earth around 7 times, right? That's how large, that's how huge we are, right? We're catering to about 1.35 billion population. So that's our own Indian Railways. And all of us have been guilty of not buying a physical platform ticket and hovering around the platform when you go and get your relatives or so. I'm sure everyone has done that. Everyone has been caught. There's a TT around there जो 10 रुपए charge करता था उस समय, correct? So now IRCTC has allowed its customers to carry their PNR, their e-tickets on their laptops and mobile phones. They've gone digital. So customers do not need to print a version of the ticket anymore. So that is something. ONGC, this is again a large company. It's one of the largest 10 green Indian companies, 10 Indian companies which have gone green. Now what they're doing, this is pretty innovative. Mokshada Green Crematorium. Right, it's a cremation initiative that they've taken up, which will help in reducing the amount of wood that is used across at these crematoriums. This initiative will help in saving about 60 to 70% of the wood and 1/4 of the burning time per cremation. So this is really, really innovative. And I'll tell you why am I showing you all this later. SBI Bank. Out of 195 or 196 people out here, except for maybe Navneet sir or Parminder ma'am and some senior faculty members of mine, about you students, this is only for you. How many of you have been to a SBI branch? I'm sure that number won't be more than, say for a big reasonable number, it won't be more than 20, right? I'm sure your parents do that for you. So because आधे time तो उनका lunch time होता है, right? Now that's a joke, that's a meme around. Now SBI Bank has introduced, it's the largest bank in the country. It's the largest PSU in the country also in banking. And they've introduced going paperless. So you don't have any deposit slips. There are no checks, there are no withdrawal forms. It's all automated now, right? That is pretty innovative from SBI. Wipro. So Wipro is an Indian IT company and it's there in the top 4 in the world right now. Top 4 IT firms in the country, in the world. And Azim Premji is the founder of the company. You've heard of him, I'm sure. He is one of the greatest, the biggest philanthropists the world has ever seen. So fortunately, and pretty good that Wipro is on this list. So what are they doing exactly? You might have a Dell laptop, you might have a HP laptop, you might have a Wipro laptop. If you don't have one, go and buy a Wipro one, because Wipro has launched a new range of desktops and laptops called the Wipro Greenware. Why these products? Because these products are in the ROHS category for them, which are compliant, thus reducing e-waste in the environment. They have done away with all the hazardous substances used in manufacturing laptops. these are some nations that have led the green wave. So all football fanatics out here would have heard these countries, I'm sure. Costa Rica is not a very pretty common name that you all must have come across, but this country will soon be the first carbon neutral country in the world. Why? Because electricity is generated out of renewable resources, such as either they use solar power or geothermal or wind or hydroelectric. Denmark uses 40% of the energy, which is generated by wind turbines. And about France, I'll tell you, it's a crime out there if the restaurants waste food, right? You got that right. You heard that right. France cannot waste food in restaurants. In India, unfortunately, on a platform like this, I'm having to tell you that in India, you must have seen, it doesn't matter to us. I mean, we waste our own food. Let's talk about ourselves first. And, you know, our dustbins are full with food all the time. Whether we go to restaurants, we order and we leave the food on the table. It has happened so many times and we are guilty about it, honestly, every one of us. But in France, if you do that as a restaurant, you're penalized, right? It's the most food sustainable country in the world. Iceland is one of the sustainable countries because they depend on high quality water, low air pollution, and have an effective climate change policy. Then Sweden, the public transport, the entire public transport runs on biogas and renewable energy, although cycling is encouraged. Now, as per Sweden, I mean, Amsterdam is also one country where you'll see more cycles than you'll see cars, right? But I'll tell you, why is it easy for these countries? Because these countries are small, right? They're developing countries. If these countries were to make a difference, sure, we can learn a lot from them. But do you think these countries alone can make a mark? I don't think so. China and India will have to be on this list. And what do you do about countries like India and China, where the population is so much? So there was a term coined in the year 1997 under the Kyoto Protocol, and it was a UN treaty. They introduced a term called carbon credit accounting, where one carbon credit is equals to 1 ton of carbon dioxide expelled in the atmosphere. So every nation is awarded a certain number of permits to emit carbon dioxide in the air, in the atmosphere. And if a country does not emit all of those credits given to them, then they can sell it to a different country. So which means India and China are getting carbon credits from countries like France, or maybe the countries that we spoke about just now, Costa Rica and Iceland and all of that, because there's no, I can't say no, but there's a lot less pollution and carbon emissions happening in those countries rather than the big ones like the US, like India, like China. And another fun fact, I've put a graph out here which says the globe. Okay, so the topic that I was just covering, just one second, sorry. Okay, carbon credit accounting. So this, under this UN treaty, there were some countries which were mandated, right, to be a part of this treaty, to be a part of this protocol. Now, countries like America, India, China, they opted out of it. And yeah, and rightly so. I mean, they, you know, the kind of carbon emissions that the India, China, and other US, etc., would be emitting in the air. So they thought that they'll come back after 15 years or 20 years or so. And now they're a part of it. So the global demand for voluntary carbon credits has gone up. So the one that I was telling you about, that was mandated by the UN. But the demand for voluntary carbon credits has also gone up. Let's see how many times. In the year 2020, the first graph, it was around 100 gigatons. The number on your right is in gigatons, right? 10 years down the line, that will go up to about 200 gigatons. And in the year 2050, that means around 30 years from now, it'll be almost 3.5 times than what the use is now. So clearly we are moving towards the green world, the green need of, the world is moving towards green, the color green, because that's what is needed. Looking at all the pollution that is being caused, the ecological imbalance that we are creating in the country, in the world, the deforestations, etc., that is happening, and a lot more. Okay, y'all are BBA students, y'all will soon be MBA students, I mean, in a year or so, right? And I'm sure y'all know about marketing. Marketing is nothing but a product mix of product, price, place, promotion, right? When I say green marketing, you just add green to all those marketing concepts. So what's a green product? a product which doesn't hurt the environment. The design should be such, the technology should be such that it doesn't hurt the environment. That is kept in mind. It should be of some usefulness to you, like a normal product, right? If you could use if you cannot use the product, however green it is, however well that product is made, however well environmentally based on the environment and everything it has been created, if you're not able to use that product according to yourself, then I don't think it serves the purpose. Value, convenience, packaging, like I said, it has to be convenient. The packaging should not be plastic. It should not be such that it's hurting the environment in any way, right? That's a green product. Now, what's a green price? This is pretty interesting. Price of a product is influenced by the cost of the material, the demography that we're targeting it to, the target market, the competition out there, and the market share. Not forgetting the customer's perceived value of a product. There'll be many of us who would think that, no, I'll only go for brands. There'll be many of us, a certain section, who will feel that, no, brand is not that important. I like the product. It is good for me. I can use it. It doesn't matter to me if it's from Sarojini or a Lajpat Nagar rather than from a Mall of India, right? Certain examples, if I have to tell you about, and if I can illustrate, green, when I say green price, I mean, the best of examples that I could look for were LCDs versus LEDs. LCDs use mercury, right, in their manufacturing. LEDs do not. So LED is a more greener product to use than an LCD. And it'll cost more to use green. So green is not cheap, right? I hope I'm clear on this. I mean, when I say green practices, I don't mean that the companies have to spend less to go green. In fact, on the contrary, they have to spend more. The best example out there, I mean, everyone is, I'm sure they know what is Tesla famous for, and the electric cars, right? Versus our own conventional cars. We are all guilty if you don't use CNG right now, by the way. So conventional cars versus electric cars. This is one premier example. A friend of mine who's studying in the US just bought a Tesla, and that costs 30 lakhs, right? He's just 4 years out from college and he bought this car. So, but why? I mean, because he knows that there's a certain value, and the green concept has picked up more in developed nations earlier than it has in our country. It'll take time for us to be there, but we are well on track. So green place, it means the distribution network, the channel that we get the product delivered to the final customer, the end customer. Right now, when there was no Amazon, when there was no Big Basket, when there was no Paytm, and I see Paytm and Big Basket, I've worked for these companies in the past, fortunately. So I was green and I didn't know this. Okay, so before these companies came into being, there were how you used to get your product. Either you used to step out to the market and go and buy the product if it was, say, grocery. Right. If it was a larger product, there was people coming into your place and giving you the product. Right. Now you can spend online. I mean, a large part of, say, our initiative of Greenery is there on the place or the medium that you plan to sell on. So by putting Amazon, Big Basket, and Paytm here, I mean that to go online is one of the best ways that we can be green in our business practices. I won't say 100% complete, because when you order from an Amazon, there's a guy coming to you with a motorcycle and he's definitely emitting something in the air, correct? So it's not at all that you're doing away with all the, I mean, you're not being hazardous at all. You are, but you're doing that at a very small scale, a minuscule scale. Now, green promotion, selection of promotional partners who have that initiative of doing green marketing, of the ones who inculcate practices of not harming the environment. You should choose your partners like that. Promotional material, again, the refrain from the use of plastic is what it means over here. Selection of advertising message, it will be a little different, but let me explain it. If you cannot see a product, let's say you're sitting in front of a TV in front of your parents, and you cannot see the ad, or you're not comfortable looking at the ad in front of your parents, that's not green advertising, right? That's not the way to advertise your product if you're advertising it in a way that is making your customer uncomfortable, right? So the selection of advertising message has to be designed in a way that it doesn't deviate from what the product, what's the perceived value of the product. Okay, 1 second. Now, to make it more about you and I, if I were to ask you that what is the least that you could do to support green? I mean, what are the initiatives that you could do? 10 years down the line, you'll be at a workplace, right? Right now, you're at your colleges, your homes, right? This is the least that you can do. You can put off the electricity when it is not in use. Make most of the paper that is in use. So once you go back, I'm sure this lecture, I think you'll remember the eminent personalities over here who spoke. And I'm talking about Mr. Ajay Jain, Bhim Reddy, and another gentleman, I'm forgetting his name, Mr. Murari. When you go to an office, you'll see a huge printer lying there with thousands of papers. So please, I advise that please don't go ahead and throw that paper away, to throw all those papers away and say that you're green, you're doing green. But in the sense that please utilize that, right? If you utilize both sides of the paper, you're doing good to it. Use energy saving lights, invest in office plants. You should encourage your office to take up or give you all the initiative of taking up volunteering. You all should go out and volunteer, do as much as possible for the environment. Telecommute when possible. So I think you're doing it right now. You're not coming to college, you're not working from home. And I don't know how well the faculty will accept this, but I'm sure if you're working from home, you're doing really, really good. And if you have to come down to office, then I think public transport, CNG buses, these are the best ways of commuting. So there's a reason why diesel cars are for a period of 10 years in Delhi NCR, and they're going to become redundant post that. And petrol, not so much. They can't restrict fuel completely. So they're continuing with that. And CNG in 5 years down the line, it'll all be about CNG and electric cars. You can mark my words for that. We are coming up. I mean, India is coming up with a lot of gas stations where you'll find ways of charging. You'll have charging stations where you can charge your cars, and it's already out there. An electric EV, the Tata Nexon EV, it's already there in the market. There are other cars also, but this one has, I think, changed the game in India, and Tata being an Indian company, it's even more commendable. Carry a steel water bottle instead of plastic. So that's, again, the minimum that you can do. Now, this is at the workplace. What do you do as an individual? As an individual, let's say you think that, how am I going to make a difference? I cannot. These are all very big gyans that I've got, a lot of corporate gyan that I've got, okay, but I can't do it alone, right? You can. Right. You get up in the morning on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning, your mom tells you to go to the grocery store and fetch some milk, right? He gives it to you in a plastic packet. You say no to it. You can bring it just like that. Or you can ask him that you'll pay for the jute bag and get it in jute bag or take it from home. You can reduce the amount of electricity that you're consuming at home, not only to save your electricity, but you are practicing green over here, I'm saying. There are different ways in which you're saving this nature by reducing the amount of electricity that you're consuming at your own house, at your own home, right? Until you can have solar panels built. I understand that everybody cannot, it doesn't sound practical, but this is what is the least that you can do. Reuse the same mobile phone. The mobile phone that you're using, I'm sure everybody knows in September, there's a new Apple phone getting launched. And these days, every teenager, almost like I've seen 10 years back, and now if you compare, I've seen more mirrors. I've not seen more mirror selfies of iPhones than I used to see 10 years back. I mean, everyone has an iPhone today and they know when it's going to come out. But resist that temptation of going ahead and updating it again in September. Please use it for 3 years. It's not I'm not telling you to be economical over here, but I'm trying to tell you that there's a lot of manufacturing which goes into it. We can't be proud of importing iPhones from the US, right? Every now and then, but those numbers look very exhilarating. But at the grassroots level, this is what you can do. Continue to use it till you can. Recycle. Now, again, recycle the things that you're using that can be used. Look out for, go to restaurants like Starbucks, I would say. I'm sure you're going. In my time, I used to go only to CCD. And even though Costa Coffee is costly, I'll go to Costa Coffee because, you know, I'm coming up with that slide. Costa, I have a story on Costa Coffee. They have brought in reusable cups where they can recycle that. And that is pretty good for a large company like Costa Coffee, which is all over the world right now, which has taken the world by storm in the coffee industry. No one talks about Coffee Day and Barista now. Anybody knows who's this girl? So she's a pretty girl. I'm sure you're all on mute, I think. Okay. So, okay, this is another photo of her. If you thought that individually you cannot make a difference, I'll tell you, this lady is Greta Thunberg, right? She's the youngest time person of the year 2019. She was born in 2003. I think she was born on January 3rd, 2003, and we're sitting on January 2022. That makes it 19 years. So in 2019, when she was 16 years old, that means younger than y'all, she was made the Time Person of the Year. She was on the Forbes list of most powerful women in the world. And she was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize of 19, 20, and 21. And why? She was born to actor parents. So there was nothing less in her life. You know, she actually is a climate activist. She's a Swedish climate activist. She might have been, when the pandemic struck, I'm sure all of your newspapers, you must have seen her for sure, once at least. So she was the one who spoke about climate change, and she's just 16. She was the one who brought global leaders at their feet and forced them to speak about climate change. Donald Trump, the Russian President Vladimir Putin, and the German Chancellor Angela Merkel. All of them, these are all great leading countries, and they all got to speak only because of her. Because in her school days, she went out to the parliament and she had these huge hoardings, save the climate, right? So going green, save the climate, go hand in hand, in case you thought that I'm deviating. So this is Costa Coffee. Now we're seeing what is the world doing after we saw what the SBIs and what the ONGCs of India did, what the Indian Railways did. These are the world companies. Costa Coffee is the largest coffee chain in the world, and they're developing an eco-friendly cup that should double the recycled content and reusability. This is a case study, so I don't remember this. This green company is also known for buying 100% ethically sourced coffee and making coffee the first globally sustainable agricultural product. And have you ever thought of, these companies, they don't have to do this. You know, these are large companies. It's not that their business will stop or they'll stop making profits if they don't go green. So they're doing it for a reason, because the world, like you and I today, are so much aware of our surroundings. We know what deforestation is. We know what afforestation is. We know how much pollution is there in the country. We know, like for India, people sitting in Delhi know that parali is a yearly thing, which comes every year in the winters and goes in about 3-4 months. That is the only way that we know how to burn our crop, right? Because there's a new crop coming in and the farmers only know one thing: to burn the crop. So usse kya hota hai? The environment is beaten big time. The AQI rises to about 350, 400. And I think after Diwali, it's around 900 or 1000. But I'm not debating whether we do Diwali or not. We should. But I'm just telling you that these companies need to go green because they know that their customers are well aware and they're well ahead of them. Right. So it gives these brands a competitive advantage over another brand. IKEA. I'm sure you'll have heard this. They started out in India with their first brand in Hyderabad a couple of years or maybe later back, 2017 or 18, they came in India and made their first store in Hyderabad. They sourced 50% of its wood from sustainably harvested forests. And they use about 7 lakh of solar panels that powers its stores around the world, and has announced its goal to be powered by 100% renewable energy by the end of 2020. So which means that they're already there. Honda. Now, Tesla should have been here in place of Honda, but I'll still go with Honda right now because Honda's done a lot in the sense they have these diesel cars, they have the petrol cars, but they've also, this is a Japanese company, and they've also began their tree fund program to curb growing carbon emissions. They've grown more than 7 lakh trees within their program across New Zealand. Right now, they've started with New Zealand, which is already a very developed and an eco-friendly country. So that's where they've started out at. And Tesla is right now in the US. They're slowly and steadily spreading its space. I was reading an article, I thought to include it over here or not, but there was some disparities in what they claim is that they've not been so transparent in letting know the world or the third party chains who kind of find out that how much carbon are you emitting. They've not been pretty transparent this, so I thought I'll not include that, though they are on track. Imperfect Foods. This is a California-based, a US-based firm. Most of you all might have not heard of it. I had to do a lot of research in the grocery thing to find out. It's an eco-friendly startup which is on a mission to reduce food waste and to make fresh produce more affordable and accessible. They purchase fruits and vegetables that would otherwise go to waste directly from farms and deliver it to the customer's doorstep for an average of 30% less than the grocery store prices. This is innovative, right? Apart from helping its partners in the food industry reduce waste, Imperfect Foods aims to establish an eco-friendly environment and supply chain in each city that it operates. Now, before I go to the slide explaining you where I come from, the industry that I come from, I wanted to know if you had any questions for me till now, ma'am.
Yes, please. Students, if you have any questions.
Yeah.
Students, you can post it on the chat box.
I think, ma'am, they are not able to unmute.
Yeah, sir, I have not.
Tell them to post in the chat box. Students, you can post your question in the chat box. We can read one by one.
Okay, I'll try. Just 1 second. Student is asking to unmute. Yeah, just wait a second.
Yeah. Unmute him.
Yeah, just a minute. I'm giving you the rights. Okay.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, I would like to ask this question. Like
Varun would be okay. Please address me as Varun. Only 10 years your senior. Yeah.
Still, sir, the question is, we all are like talking about green practices. We should adopt to them and we should practice and inculcate them in the business and management. But at the same time, if I look at the current scenario where the government has imposed, 30% of the tax on cryptocurrency.
Right.
Talking the case of digital finance, like we can also adopt the practices of financing digitally. At the same time, the tax imposition looks like the government is not in favor of introducing the digital currency or the green currency for that matter. So how this will proceed? I don't understand. What is your take on that? When one way we are talking about green finance and the other way we are imposing great taxes on the cryptocurrency.
Right. Okay. We're a developed country. That's a finance question. What's your name?
Varun, it's Utkarsh.
Okay, sure. Utkarsh, see, we are a developing country, right? We need to get our revenues. The government needs to get its revenues from things that come out which are new. And now digital currency is on its boom. They know that this is one sector where they can make money from. We're not in America, right? We're the ones who have. Yes, we are the ones who have a 30%, 32% tax, and which is like one of the highest in the entire world. But to answer your question, you said that it doesn't look like the government wants to promote green practices, and for that matter, they've taxed the green digital currencies. It's not like that. That they don't want to do it. That's an additional revenue model for the government. So let's not look into that. But yeah, I'll tell you one interesting thing. In the digital currencies, I think this question was put across to Mr. Bhim also. Ethereum is one digital currency. It's one of the costliest and one of the most economical, not economical, I mean, ecologically efficient currencies right now amongst all, including Bitcoin. So this is one currency that either the world should take note of, or just because the Indian regulators need to come up and accept green currencies more readily, it will take time. So it will take time for the government to come up and reduce taxes on that. But yes, we cannot outrightly say that the government is not wanting or not promoting digital currencies. I hope it answers your question. We are pretty nascent over there, Utkarsh.
Varun, we have one question from Mitansh. Mitansh, are you able to unmute yourself now?
Yes, ma'am. Now,
Okay.
so
Okay.
I want to ask, as a beginner entrepreneur or someone who is starting at very initial level, what all green practices should be taken care of as an entrepreneur?
Okay, as an entrepreneur, that is for us to innovate and for us to think. Y'all are all of 18, 20, 21, y'all have just started your careers. Y'all should think, you're the ones who are going to be the future entrepreneurs tomorrow. Now, I can give you a cheesy answer to that, but or let me give it. If I were to give you a cheesy answer for that, I would say that if I knew what it takes and what is the effort that you put in to become a green entrepreneur, I would have been one right now. So I'm still figuring out that how do we bring in and inculcate those, our observations around and build something on the green lines. But this is a scope, in fact, for you, because now that you know that people are aware of green practices, they pick up the table, they pick up the product, they're looking at the ingredients, they're looking at what you're using in the product, and then going ahead and consuming it. So people are aware, and with that awareness, I think it'll have to be a very conscious effort. There'll have to be a lot of research in that, in the subject or the place that you want to start from and be an entrepreneur tomorrow. Utkarsh, am I audible?
Is that okay, Mitansh? Does that answer your question? Mitansh, are you there? I think there is some connectivity issue.
Maybe some technical.
Okay, okay. No. He is not able to speak. 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, just 1 second. Mitansh, now check.
So yes, ma'am. Thank you. So do you think this is the reason for the success of brands like Mama, that they are promoting green practices? They are advertising on that basis only, that they are using green practices in making and development of their product also?
Correct. Mama Earth, I'll tell you, it's a baby product. And if you know, I mean, I'm not telling you from my experiences of Shark Tank, but yeah. I've read a lot about it. Maybe you should also. Varun Alag and Ghazal Alag. These are two founders of Mama Earth. And, you know, if you read the article, how she started out, then when they had a baby, then they started looking at the products which were harming their kids, right? At that young age of, say, 1 or 2 years, when the kid was, I think, even less. Yeah, and that's correct. And those products were toxic for them, according as per a parent. No one knows more than a mother, right? What is to be used on the kid, and she found it toxic. So she went all across and built a brand in itself. And you can see that's a classic example of green entrepreneurship. Yes, it is, but I'll not say it's easy, but I'll say it is something that is on the boom. On the boom, as in you need to understand there's a lot of scope over there. People are growing, companies are growing, industries are growing, and they're getting more and more aware of these products. And yes, that is one reason that Mama Earth did pretty well. Other brands also can, if they follow these practices.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
So thank you, sir, for your insight. And
Varun, do you have anything to say? I mean,
yes. I hope I have time. It's
Yeah.
already 3 there, which is why I winded it up a little 5 minutes earlier. Okay, just give me a second. I'll just take you through. Yeah. So I had this last slide of mine, which I wanted to talk about.
Right.
So I come from a digital payments background, right? And I've worked with companies like MobiKwik in the past. I've worked with Ola also, which is not a payments firm, but now they're into payments as well. I've worked with Paytm for about 4 years, and now I'm working with EasyTap. So I'll tell you what is happening. This is an impact influence matrix, right? 1 second. Okay. So now there's a lot, payments industry is going to evolve. Future entrepreneurs and future prospects, I mean, employees who are wanting to work for the payments company, who want to work for Google someday, who want to work for PhonePe one day, please take notice that these are the digital payments boom. Digital payments is on its boom, right? Today, if you have a wallet, a leather wallet, which has a lot of cash, then again, you know what I mean. You're not contributing to the greenery around, right? Because demonetization was one step towards that goal of digital payments and going green. Not saying it like that, but yes, meaning it like that. So EasyTap is a firm which helps merchants accept payments, right? And they accept payments digitally also and through devices also. So I would be guilty if I don't talk about my industry going green and what we do personally and what we do on a company level. So EasyTap, for that matter, if you've seen devices, when you walk into a brand store, when you walk into large retail stores, you'll see, if you, or for example, if you walk into a Domino's, you're a pizza consuming generation. So you all would know Domino's is a merchant to us. So if you walk into Domino's, you'll find a small kiosk there next to the door, which is not a manned kiosk. It's a kiosk, it's a machine, right? And it's an iron machine. So there are a lot of metals which are decomposed to use that machine, right? And we are not, that is not a green practice. So we need to completely do away with these practices that we follow in the payments industry. We are to an extent over there, but we're not completely there. So today, when we're using cards, we're using cash, we are using payment receipts. As a digital payments company, we're not doing the right thing. We're not doing the 100% right thing. Digital payment links are out there, QR codes are out there through which we can make our payments. We don't need to use cash now. So y'all as, I mean, Generation Z, or what do you call it? Do you call it Generation Y, Generation Z? Whatever that is, y'all should refrain from using cash at all. So if it's a college cafeteria also, please implement a QR code. I'm not proposing my company over here by any means, but I'm trying to tell you that this is what you should be doing. So in this impact influence metrics, just 1 second. Yeah, I hope you can see the screen. Hello?
Yes, we can see you, Varun.
Sure, okay. So I'll tell you now, this is an impact influence screen, and all 4 columns talk about different things. So the first one is the large footprints in the payment industry and low influence. So who are those people? These are the merchants and the card holders. Now, why do I say that they have large footprints? Because these are the ones that could drive a change. These are merchants who are accepting payments, and we as card holders are the customers who are paying them, right? And how are we paying them? We are paying them through our cards, through our cash, and we are getting payment receipts in return, which is nothing but paper, right? Now, you doing it individually is not making a difference, but the entire world having to go through this process is definitely detrimental to the planet on the whole. But you can't do anything. It's a low influence, because until regulators step in, the merchants alone cannot not accept payments, right? That's what they're meant for. Now, large footprints, high influence, I would say. Who are these ones? These are the equipment manufacturers, payment processors. And what are these? These are terminals, cards, cash that we're talking about. What can they do? These are large footprints, as in these are manufacturers. Like I was talking about EasyTap, you have a kiosk over there in the stores. You go ahead and pay in that particular kiosk without thinking that how is it causing a harm or so. But what can be done about it? These service providers, these payment service providers can switch entirely to cloud-based solutions. There are so many companies that are doing it. EasyTap is doing it to a large extent, but we are yet to be there right now. Cloud solutions will not harm the environment at all, and it is quite doable. Small footprints and low influence, these are the architects, the developers. So since most of the impact is driven from the design of what the device looks like, the impact of technical choices has to be limited. So there's low influence there and there's low footprints there. Now, small footprints, but having a high influence on the society. Who's that? RBI in the payment industry. They are the regulators, right? And what can they do? They can design the design of the payment infrastructure, the regulation on receipt, recycling of card terminals. They can order that. The payments industry is governed by the Reserve Bank of India. So if they say that this is what should not happen, it will not happen. So until the influence comes from there, we can't do anything. This is one metrics which I wanted to talk about. I thought I'll be guilty if I don't talk about my industry and the company that I come from.
Right.
One small request. I hope you all do this.
Yeah.
And you all are all future green entrepreneurs. I'm telling you, there's a lot that y'all can do. It's not a thing which like 10 years back when I was in college, I wouldn't think that entrepreneur is my cup of tea, though that was a term which was coined. And I mean, a little earlier, but at that point in time, we used to discuss what is entrepreneurship and all about. And in debate competitions, I remember participating in one of those, but I never thought that it'll be so close. It'll come so close. Now I can tell you, and I can vouch for it. Please pay attention, keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, because you all can be the next green entrepreneurs in the world. And there's a lot of money here because the world is struggling. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Varun. Thank you for sharing. So with this brings us to the end of this insightful session on green practices, a strategy for sustainable growth. And with this, I extend a very hearty vote of thanks to all our speakers of the event for sharing their valuable expertise on this topic. I express my gratitude to the Director of the Institute, Dr. Pooja Jain, and Dean of the Department, Dr. Praveena Arora, for their constant support. I also thank all my colleagues for their valuable time, and I would acknowledge the contribution of the entire organizing team, my anchors of the event, for their help and assistance throughout the event. And thanks to all my lovely audience for being such a patient listener. Thank you, everyone. So I'm sharing a link with you all. So the certificates will be auto-generated on filling this link. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Murari, sir. Thank you, Varun. Thank you, everyone. So students, you can fill the link.
Thank you, Varun. Thank you, Murari, sir.
Last but not the least, I
Thank
forgot
you.
to thank my co-convener, Dr. Navneet Joshi. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your support. And you are always there for me. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
It's a teamwork.
Yeah. So
Okay.
thank you, Murari, sir. Thank you, Varun. Yeah.
Ma'am.
Anji, sir.
Okay.
Sir, students, you can fill the form, please. And certificates will be auto-generated. So the link is open for a while. I mean, for 10-15 minutes, and then we'll close the link.
Yeah, definitely.
In case if you feel any difficulty, please let us know. I'm there to help you out. Sir is there. Students, in case if you are feeling any difficulty, I'm not able to sign. Beta, I think this link is like for GYMS students only. So probably you have not signed it from the GYMS ID. That is why it is creating a problem. So you can sign in from the GYMS ID. Still, if you are facing any issue, let me know. Okay, just 1 second. Let me allow you people to unmute yourself so that in case if you are facing any issue. Now you can unmute yourself in case if you are facing any issue, you can tell me. Anji beta.
Ma'am, the event is live now, to tell Rajkamal sir to.
Please, sir, you can call him.
Okay, मैं call करता हूँ, and do one thing, just
Okay,
pause
okay,
the
sir.
record, pause the recording also.
Sure, sir. Okay, still you are facing the issue. Okay, just 1 second. Okay, let me change the settings of the form then. I'll try to change the settings. Just give me a while. So settings.
Ma'am, if we have got it, can we leave?
Beta, I think you people are able to fill already.
Yes,
I've seen.
sir, I have got it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because I can see more than 120 students have already filled.
We can just log in with it.
Yeah, those who have filled the form, they can log out.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
ma'am.
everyone. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. I hope nobody is facing an issue now.
रविंद्र मैम, ये 100 सर्टिफिकेट की लिमिटेशन तो नहीं है पर डे की वाली?
नहीं नहीं,
मुझे कहाँ जाना है?
that is why बेटा mute yourself, हर्षित. अब सर ज्वाइन मत कराना किसी को.
नो 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 नो, लॉक कर दी मीटिंग मैंने.
Yeah, sure, sir. Thank you, sir. So,
बट इसमें से अभिषेक, कुछ बच्चे ऑलरेडी वेटिंग रूम में थे.
okay, sir. It is up to you. You can check and.
No, इसमें कनिष्ठ जैसे है, हर्ष जांगरा.
Sir, if you know that they were there, then you can permit them.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Because ये लॉक करने से पहले ही.
Sir, call is yours. Yes, sir. मैंने ध्यान नहीं दिया होगा, sir.
Yes.
Please.